have a million of them. You just got to have them and know that they're...
You're getting eggs left and right. I think you're officially the Baird's king.
I hope. Oh,
you gotta hook
so.
a brother up, man. Yeah, let me get on this action.
So I have that clutch.
Said,
No, like I have the Loma Alta clutch, which looks perfect. I have the Het Hypo clutch, which that was only, I think, 7 eggs, and only 2 of those are good. The others are already starting to mold and everything.
Oh, really?
So she kind of...
If there's a few that could go either way, let them ride. Because I've had moldy eggs. Like,
these don't. I need to plug my candler in and charge it and stuff so I can look. But the 2 that are good look really good. It's the other 5 that just look like garbage.
And I got one in my clutch that was a slug, and I wanted to pull it from the start, but it was just it was like in the middle. I was like, I'll let it go, and I just looked at them tonight, and it's already getting some mold on it, so I'm gonna have to figure that out.
Yeah. Well, I'm using these containers, and I've got them on just straight spag, and I noticed there's like some mold on spag kind of forming, so it's like I kind of want to get my hands on some springtails, and maybe if I throw some in those boxes, they'll curb that a little bit, but we'll see. I don't know. But this is episode 162 of the Herpeticulture Podcast, which is brought to you by Steve Snaketuary and his Venom Hot Sauce. Cottonmouth sauce is where it's at. He just drinks the stuff straight because I guess in Louisiana, that's just what they do.
Wait, what?
You ever seen the videos of him? He just has a bottle of hot sauce and he just...
Oh, geez.
It's hardcore, man. That. He's done it with a bunch of different kinds, but not only just the Snaketuary stuff, but like other hot sauces.
Yeah, it's pretty hardcore.
I couldn't do it.
It's a different hot down there.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a different breed. It's a different type of man.
Put some air in your chest.
That's right. Put some fuzz on your peaches, some lead in your pencil. All that.
Damn right.
So check him out. If you get his hot sauce, you're helping him with the Snaketuary. So you're helping him with public outreach, public education, rehabilitation of snakes, other reptiles that get brought to him, rescues. You know, he has a collection that he maintains to educate everyone. So if you're getting his hot sauce, you're helping him fund everything and keep everything running smooth. And he's been our number one since day one.
Yeah, he's been our sponsor for quite a while now.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I want to have him on again soon. We need to make that happen.
Yeah.
And then blackboxcages.com. We were just talking about it before we started. Jake's got a bunch of their stuff. I know I've been talking about it on Snakes and Stogies for like 2 weeks now, but I want to do a video on Jake's setups and what he's got as far as what he has from them and all that good stuff. So that may or may not happen over the weekend. We're going to see. Check them out, blackboxcages.com. Check them out, Facebook, Instagram. Hit us up. We've got those new sliding front cages.
Yep, they're the best. We're the best, man.
We're like formally putting out there into the ether so people know they exist. But they exist now. It's just not on the website. We don't really advertise them, but they do exist. I've been waiting on some pictures and stuff to really hammer it home that they're there. So
now, man, stuff's the best of the best. I've been rocking with it for a while now. Just upgraded a bunch of stuff to the XR20. I was about to fill up the XR16 with carpets, but then I realized that's not going to leave me any space for stuff that I'm getting this year. So gonna hold off a little longer. So the XR16 is empty now, but XR20's
Let me get
up. No, dude, thing's about to be going again. More stuff coming.
What?
Man.
Oh, is it a secret?
We'll see.
All right.
All kinds of stuff in the works, man.
You want some thorn scrubs?
Huh? No, I don't want some thorn scrubs. Boy, quit trying to pawn off your thorns.
Take my thorn scrubs. My porn scrubs.
My porn scrubs.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, I'm good with the 3 that I have.
What's been going on? Because we haven't had an episode in
yeah, it's been 2 weeks.
Has it been 2 weeks?
Yeah, we didn't have one last week.
It has been 2 weeks.
Yeah, you had a work event.
Yeah, that was the last event at the shop. Well, it wasn't my last event because I was at the shop today, and Raj was like, "Oh yeah, June 17th, we got an event you're working." And I was like, "Oh,
what?
Okay." I told him I'd help with events. But I thought that would be like a, hey, can you work this event sort of situation? And I would have been like, maybe not. Instead, it's, hey, bitch, you're working the 17th. I was like, oh, okay. So,
all right.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, nothing
It's weird.
too crazy.
It's still daylight, dude.
Yeah, I know. It's
I
love
this
it.
is really true. This is the earliest we've done it on a weekday.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic.
Like I got off at 5 and I went and topped off mice, and then I came home and I didn't know what to do. Like I kind of just laid in bed where the AC and the fan was running on high and just watched YouTube for an hour and then dozed off for a few minutes, and then you came over and I was like, oh, it's pretty nice.
Kind of nice.
Nice little.
Yeah.
I can take my time. I can go get stuff done after work and not have to rush home.
Welcome to the life, man.
To eat and set up, and so it's.
You can clean your snakes after work now.
That's right.
Still have plenty of time.
Yep, it's nice, and it's an adjustment, but it's a good adjustment. So, breeding updates wise, so Dion's eggs, 2 corn clutches, 2 Baird's clutches. Dion's are going to be first to hatch. I'm thinking, so those were laid on the 13th, so I've still got probably 3 weeks before they're supposed to land, if that makes any sense. All the other stuff probably won't even be hatching until the end of next month, I think.
Yeah.
I honestly, I put the dates on because my dad was like, when's this hatching? And I was like, I put the date on the box, and I honestly haven't even bothered to look at the calendar. It's like I check on them.
You can't, man. It's like you look at them basically every day. Counting. So just wait it out.
Just ignore the calendar. They'll hatch faster.
Yep.
This week, though, we are joined by Mr. Brandon McWilliams, who is honestly probably one of my favorite Instagram accounts, and I'm pretty sure I've told you that multiple times. Like, he posts, I mean, photography stuff is really cool, but he has Bairds. I don't.
He has Bairds.
I don't know. Pander to the host.
Yeah, I've been following you for a while though, and it's always one of those accounts where I'm like, I like seeing the stuff you post.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I enjoy it. And you got a kick-ass collection. So I was like, I actually asked you like a week or two ago. It was 2 weeks ago, and you were out herping.
Yeah.
And so then this week I was like, let's see if we can make it happen. So here we are.
I always
glad to be here.
Yeah, I always like these episodes because like I was on Reptile Talk quite a while ago, and they said something about how like I'm a avid field herper, but I also keep in captivity a lot, and a lot of times it's kind of either one or the other for some people. I won't say a lot, but some people it's kind of one or the other. More of a keeper versus a
like a 90-10 split.
Yeah, exactly. Normally if you keep, you kind of do some stuff in the field, but not a lot. So, but I always like having people on who are do a lot of both. It's always.
Yeah, it's really interesting how the two worlds are sometimes like divided. I think that's like Instagram I haven't figured out yet. So I appreciate that, Justin, that, checking me out on there. But it seems like that makes it tough when you do both because there's no real direction. But, I kind of just use that as my personal Dropbox of stuff I like to enjoy.
That's what my personal Instagram has become. It's like I don't even put hashtags on any pictures. It's like I got pictures of my kid, my dog.
Yep.
Sometimes random stuff I see. Like it's not. I don't care about it. It's that exact thing. It's just an extra file saver.
Yep.
But general sort of intro stuff. I mean, I know as of late we've kind of been like, if you want to go all the way back, feel free. If not, just. Who are you and what are you currently working with or focused on?
Sure. Yeah. Probably not too interesting of a backstory, kind of similar to everybody who's into snakes, right? Into it as a kid. It was a little interesting. My first snake was a garter snake that I think my dad got me. I was like 4 years old. And, I don't remember much from that time, obviously, but what I do remember is that thing latched onto my stomach. And my mom, completely freaked out, and the next day it was dead. So I don't know if it was, poor husbandry or the thing was offed or it got damaged during the extraction from my stomach. But that was my first experience with pet snakes. So I didn't have any snakes after that for a pretty long time. I had a bunch of lizards that I killed with pet rock and whatnot for a while. And then I always was, we lived in a pretty rural area, so I was always outside finding salamanders, frogs. I would catch water snakes, bring them home, keep an aquarium for the summer. So we're super into fishing, so I would catch sunfish, throw them in there, and I'd always get a trip out of seeing this huge bulge in a snake. I thought no way it would eat that fish, kind of a thing. And then high school I kept some stuff. I had a corn snake, ball python, typical stuff. This is mid '90s, and I couldn't really get much beyond that, and kept some leopard geckos, and then went off to college. My grandma took my leopard geckos. She loved those things. It was pretty cool. She actually got eggs out of them and stuff. Never hatched them or anything, but she loved those leopard geckos because I was going to sell them when I left, but she kept them and took care of them for a while. They lived a pretty long life with her. And then I didn't keep reptiles for a while. I was always into outdoors and hiking. And got back into it. I always figured, when I got back to a more stable life situation, I was going to get back into snakes, and that's what I did. Got a house and started looking for snakes again. And I always remembered, it sounds super cheesy, but when I was, into snakes in the 90s, albino ball python first came out, and seeing that in Reptiles magazine is like, wow, this thing is awesome. And then I saw some of them. I was pretty local to the Hamburg show. I grew up in Southeast PA. And they were like, 10 grand. And so for me, that was just like, wow, someday when I make it, I'm going to have snakes like this. So when I finally had the means, I was like, okay, I'm going to get some of these cool things when I was a kid. So, albino ball python was the first thing I went out and got. And they were, only a couple $100 then, but still was a nostalgia. And I still have that snake to this day. This was around 2014. Kind of got back to it. It's the only ball python I have, but again, it sounds super cheesy, but it's kind of just a reminder, like, I'm grateful for all this stuff that I have. Reptile wise, just kind of in life, this kind of snakes kind of represent that for me. So it's really, I don't know, it's just kind of special to me that to be able to have some of this stuff.
Yeah, it seems like everyone has sort of that like top 5 species they saw in reptiles at some point in their life that just stuck with them as a kid or young adult or something, and it's like, I mean, for me, like Amazon tree boas, Ackies, seeing the old Signal Herp Emerald tree boa ads and stuff. It was like, I'll like, it would be so cool to own those. And then, you get older and you get a house and you're like, wait a second,
I can do it.
I can do whatever I want.
Right.
Like, I'm an adult now. And so it's
so there were 3 for me. There was 3. There was the ball python, the green tree python, and gray banded king snake. So the alternatives, one thing I still don't keep. Kind of changed my mind on that. I still think they're beautiful animals, just not in my collection yet. And then so when I got back into it, I got that ball python. When I was looking around, I was going to local shows, and Jason Balin's local to me. So I started seeing these carpet pythons, and I was like, those are really cool. Started doing the research into carpet pythons, and then the first things you pop up, these things are huge. They made all the myths, right?
They're mean.
And, exactly, all that stuff. So I kind of put that off, and then but then I kept seeing Jason, so I started talking to him, and it's like, all right, I got a coastal carpet, and then it was kind of all downhill from there. That's kind of what got me into carpets. And then did the research on the green trees, and I was like, oh, well, I was traveling a lot for work at the time. I was like, oh, you got to miss these things every day. I was like, oh, well, shit, I've been waiting all this time. I was going to get one of these things. Now it's probably not for me. Then I did some more research. It's like, okay, you probably don't need to do that. And then, so I've been keeping green trees now for about 6 years. I just have a real small group. Mostly carpet pythons in my collection now. I've got a few rat snakes. I got just that one pair of beards. Got a small group of black rats. A couple other odds and ends. I have a pair of Solomon tree boas, a pair of leopard rat snakes, and that's about it in terms of species.
Nice. Very cool. Do you have like a locality of black rats? What kind of black rats do you have?
So I do have one locality. It's because it showed up in my basement. So it's very, very local. It's the only, well, besides the Solomon tree boa, it's the only wild caught snake I have. It was kind of odd circumstances. It was really, I'm not too superstitious, right? But it was almost a sign. I had been like looking really into black rats. I kind of wanted a project where I could have like a rack of something where I could play with colors, right? See all the things with, I'm not really super into morphs, but I like everything kind of a thing, if that makes any sense.
I know I'm right there with you, dude. I love my wild types, but I have like a select few morph projects that I really like, you know. And
right. So I wanted to play with a little bit of the color stuff. So I was looking at black rats because I love black rat snakes. It's one of my favorite snakes to find out and about, local to me. And so I had been looking like every day at like black rat morphs, just different black rat stuff. And then it was in the fall. This was 2 or 3 years ago. Down in my basement, I find this baby black rat snake just on the floor. And it was one of those days where I think it waited too long to like get cover. And so it was obviously last minute because it got cold super quick. And it's like, well, if I just let this thing go, my cats are going to get it. So it's going to die if it stays here. If I put it outside, it's going to die because it got cold kind of a thing. So it's like, well, I'll throw it in a tub for now. And then now it's still here.
Never left.
how
So,
long ago was that?
That was 2.5 years ago. So I guess to answer your question, mostly what I have is morphs, but I do have one, locality animal.
Cool, that's awesome.
So at what point did you get the Bairds, and why? Like, had you already seen them? Like, were you already familiar with them when you got into them?
How drunk were you when you decided to get Bairds? Is the question.
Yeah, it was kind of a serendipitous type of thing. I kind of stumbled on them. I was actually looking at California red-sided garter snakes at the time. So Justin, you may see where this is going because I know you talk to Tim a lot and have some of his animals. But I found Tim Spuckler's website.
Oh man,
and he's got some amazing pictures of Bairds on there from the Vivid Line stuff, the Loma Alta stuff. And then I was like I had never even seen him before that, and I was like, what is this? Like, this is incredible. Like, they have red, orange, metallic, gunmetal colors. They're incredible. If you look at his pictures, they're incredible. And I, Tim Gebhardt's website, Vivid Reptiles, found that. I was like, holy shit, these things are. Why doesn't everybody have these? They're just incredible. And then it took me a long time to actually find a pair. It was crazy. They're pretty hard to find. Even today, I keep an eye out. They don't come up too often.
Yeah, they're very infrequent.
Yeah, and it seems like what I've found is that a lot of these colubrid things, you have a lot of like old timers, or maybe not even old timers, but just more guys that just don't have an online presence. So you kind of have to go to shows to find a lot of this stuff. And I go to shows here and there, but not that much. But yeah, it took me a while. It took me about a year to actually find a pair. So I got real lucky. I just was checking, and I found this locality pair on Fauna, and I scooped them up, and right after I got them, there's like 10 other replies like, are these things still available? And I love those things. It's crazy. It's I don't know. It seems like I'm attracted to these things that go through this onogenic color change. Carpets, grain trees, Bairds. I don't know. It's just I don't know if it's I'm a closet addicted gambler or what, but it's pretty it's really interesting to see how they change. Like, even the pair I have, like, they're siblings, but they're completely different. The male is like that. He turned out exactly what I was hoping for. Like, that really, like, you get that red where it's like lava in between the metal. Like, it looks like the pictures you see of like the volcano in Hawaii erupting. Like, it's crazy, with that deep orange and, real saturated reds and orange colors and stuff like that. And then the female is she's real silvery. She has a little bit of an orange wash, but she's really, really silver. So it's just, even within a clutch, that variation that you get, I think that's part of the attraction. But I mean, just that look, it's hard to explain because it's really hard to capture in pictures.
Yeah.
Of these things. And you see babies, and it's the same thing with trying to sell carpets. It's you see a baby and it's like
yeah. Well, it's funny because I don't think I know anybody that got Bairds because like they had seen them previously and they purposefully like went out of their way to go find Bairds. It was one of those things where like they had never seen or heard of them before, saw them, somewhere, be it a show or whatever, and then it just stuck in their mind, and eventually they managed to get their hands on some.
Yeah.
Because go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, it was hard to find a pair. Like Jason Hood, I think, had a clutch around the time. He still breeds them around the time that I was looking for him. I messaged him, and his were all gone, and a couple other people, Tim, nobody had them, and it was really, like I said, it took me, I think, close to a year to actually find a pair. To even get them.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just is because they have smaller clutches. Like they don't for a colubrid, like a rat snake, Panther specifically, like of their size, because they are on the bigger side. I mean, obviously they're not going to get nearly as big as like some of the yellows and stuff we have.
Beards are?
Beards get pretty big.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought they were on the smaller
not like
side,
super bulky like black
Yeah.
rats and yellow rats, but they are like they at one point they were a subspecies of yellows. So they do get bigger, but they have surprisingly small clutches, like in comparison to like corns.
They
Like
probably have bigger eggs though.
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a corn of the same size is going to lay like probably twice as many eggs. You know, the clutch I just got, that's a first time female. She's not huge. She's not runty either. You know, it was 8 eggs, but all 8 eggs were like perfect. So
yeah,
I think that's a big part of it is just they don't have big clutches, and it just, you know, they don't have the explosive, like exponential reproduction that you see with a lot of other colubrids.
Yeah, and that seems to be exactly what I've seen. They have smaller clutches, and yeah, I wasn't really sure on the size. It's hard to find information. That's why, you know, Justin, I've been pinging you about it. I appreciate the help you've been providing along the way, because this is my first time breeding colubrids. I don't have a lot of experience breeding anything for that matter, to be honest. You know, the only thing I've bred is you know, jungles and coastal carpets a couple times. So this was new for me, and you know, there's not that much information out there, and it seemed like I mean, mine were kind of young still, you know, like 2.5, but you know, the male went off food. Seemed like they were of size, but again, that it's hard to find information on, you know, what is size. Mine aren't that big. Mine are, you know, I have black rats that are, you know, 1.5 old that are bigger than them. Yeah, and I got a clutch of 10 eggs, so I'm super excited about that. And but yeah, that seems to be the case, that really small clutches. And so yeah,
even then 10 is decent.
That's hefty.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was, you know, maybe, you know, 6 or 8, something like that. I didn't really know what to expect, but at 10 I was surprised by, especially the size of her. It's I'm really bad at judging like gravid snakes, because like it's always surprises me, like, how did all that come out of you? Like,
yeah. But, I could tell that Loma Alta girl was ready to pop, man, because like the closer she got, I could see, like I never palpated or anything. I could just look at her and be like, yeah, you're loaded. Like,
yeah.
And I was assuming that she was going to drop a good amount of eggs just by how big she was and how far up, you know, that the oviduct swelling and stuff had gone. So
yeah, I
was expecting a decent clutch, and I'm happy with what she gave me. And that's her first year, and she did great. So I gave her a mouse today actually to
yeah, we'll have to talk later. I certainly so mine are Loma Alta, so I'd certainly be interested in talking later. I don't want to count my eggs before they hatch about trading some Loma Alta blood.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know what happened with the girl that I put with the hypo. I'm thinking maybe I didn't beef her up enough going into pairing and stuff like that. So I don't know. You know, 2, if I get 2 and it ends up being, I don't really need, if it ends up being 2 males, I don't know what I'm gonna do, because I don't need more males. I've got that smaller male hypo, and then I've got that bigger male hypo.
Yeah, you really have no need for a male hypo.
I don't know. We'll see. But I know
they'll be
Brandon's working for Meyer. He's like, dude, I need a hypo.
Yeah.
So mine supposedly had hypo. So we'll see. So I don't know if you know Glenn Lewis. I don't really know him. I just, you know, through like fauna, he's like he does a lot of locality colubrid stuff. So that's where I got him from. And you know, I have pictures of the parents. It was definitely a hypo male, which he says he collected. So these are locality potential hypo animals. So you know, we'll see what pops out. I'm pretty excited to see what pops out.
Yeah, no, if they were 100% heads, I would think you'd get it. Hopefully, get at least 1 out of 10. That would be really nice.
Because your pair, they clutch mates, siblings.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So these Loma Altas that I have are too. So I'm gonna be curious to see. I don't expect any surprises, but you never know when you're breeding stuff back, you know. So
yeah,
who knows? As far as like the leopard rats, though, those are another one that I see. I don't see them a lot, but it seems like I see them like when they are available. It's usually like 1 or 2 animals, and then a couple months later, I'll see another 1 or 2 animals, another 1 or 2 animals for sale. And I've never kept them. I don't, you know, they've always looked really cool. You know, all the Old World of Lafe stuff is awesome. So I was just like, what's been your experience with those, and as far as like keeping those in comparison to like North American stuff?
Yeah, I don't want to purport myself to be any kind of expert. I only have a pair of them, but they're really cool. That's another one where I can't even remember where I saw it, but I saw a picture. I think it was a book. I think I was planning a trip to Italy, like this was a few years back, and so I got a European like herp field guide. It was just a trip with my girlfriend, but I always try to sneak in like herping stuff if I
Of
can, like
course.
incidental herping.
You got it.
Obviously, come on,
It's
man.
vacation.
Yeah.
Man.
So I think that's where I saw it, and I was like, wow, this is incredible. Like these leopard rats are really cool. So they call them the leopard rats or European corn snakes. They look kind of like a cross between a corn snake and a milk snake, and they kind of act like a garter snake. They're not very big. An adult female is like 2 feet long, so they're small snakes, which
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
a couple years ago that was another kind of criteria. I was starting to get light on space. I was like, okay, what are some smaller species I can get? And I don't know. When I saw that picture, I was like, and I was like, it's kind of strange, that's the one thing I like about Instagram or social media is that you still find stuff you've never seen before, right? You
Yeah.
follow enough people, eventually you see stuff like what is that? And that's like what that's kind of what keeps me going a little bit. And so I found this in this book, and I was like, well, let me look. Are these in the hobby? And it was like, yeah, they were, but like you just said, you can't. They're hard to find. Maybe once in a while they come up. So I got a male from Matt Most. A locality animal, a Croatian animal locality, which there's two kind of morphs that naturally occur in the wild. There's they call it splotched, which is like the kind of classic look, which kind of corn snake look. But the male I have is amazing. He's got I don't have any good pictures of him because I'm surprised I haven't lost him, to be honest. He's like a speed demon, and just anyway, but it's like, you got that red and silver, the blotches, which is, real regular pattern. And then so I was trying to find a female for a while, and, nothing, couldn't find anything. So Tony D, I don't know if guys know that guy. He's in your neck of the woods, I think.
I have corn snakes from him.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so he was breeding them, and he posted some last year. And I'm usually not the type to just reach out to people when they post like hatchlings, because I don't like to bother people. I know how it goes. The limited experience I have selling snakes, I don't like bothering people for no reason. But I was like, hey, if you have any females you want to get rid of from this clutch, I'm definitely looking. And he's like, well, matter of fact, I'm willing to sell this proven female. I was like, well, okay. So I couldn't turn that down. Right, exactly.
Sold.
And it's the striped version, which I really wasn't. I really like the splotch version. I wasn't really looking for the morph, the striped one. And the pictures he sent me, it was like, yeah, she looks pretty good. But when I got her, completely changed my mind. Like the colors on this thing, and it's the same thing that got me into carpet pythons. The thing that really sold me on carpets was like an M-Pen coastal, and the same thing with this leopard rat girl. It's just these pastel like. It's really hard to describe these like creamy like reds and oranges and lavenders, and she has amazing colors. So I kind of came around to that. But so back to the question, how to keep them. They definitely like it colder. Matt kind of told me that when I got the male, and I've seen that firsthand now. The male was he's kind of a fussy eater. I'm not sure it has to do with temperatures yet or what. I'm still kind of figuring these guys out. The female, no problem. So when I got from Tony, she's been rock solid. And Justin, like I was talking to you, she kind of showed signs of like she was progressing and developing. But this male I have, I just don't. He's not the size yet. He was refusing too much food. He's back in there now. I haven't given up. Just in case she is producing follicles, because she's ready. I don't want to have to slug out just because of the male.
Yeah,
so we'll see what happens there. I didn't really have expectations for breeding, but I figured I'd throw them together. But yeah, they definitely like it cooler. So all my other rats, I keep almost like carpets. I keep them a little cooler, but they're in the same rack. They're just in the lower shelves. But the leopard rats are in a different rack. They get a max around. It's kind of hard in my room they're in, but around 75-ish, 75 to 77, and even that's probably I think warmer than they like it. And then I do drop the temps at night, basically just turn the heat off in the summer anyway. So it'll drop down to low 70s, and that seems fine. The male, the fussy eater. So this past year was the first year I brumated him. He was down in my basement, which didn't get as cool as I was hoping. Got down around 60, and that was the happiest I've ever seen him. Like he was out, like it seemed like he was looking for food, like that. Like he seemed super happy at 60. So they definitely like it cooler. They're cool little snakes. They're so far they're easy to keep. I don't have experience with breeding them, but as far as keeping them, they seem pretty easy. I mean, how is that? I mean, you have like bimaculata and stuff like that. Is that pretty similar? Are you keeping those guys any cooler?
Yeah, they don't have any heat, but I mean, as I mentioned, as of lately, I haven't really had anything on heat except for the Ackies, because you know their cage just warms the room up so much. Like,
yeah,
I think even what they're at now, like my Diones and my bimaculata could probably be a few degrees cooler than what they're at. But I mean, everyone's eating fine. The bimaculata, my female shed, I thought maybe she was, you know, gravid at one point or another. Now I'm not so sure. So she shed today, so I put the male in with her this afternoon when I got home from work. Diones, they were a breeze. I mean, they were no problem getting eggs. They had no shame. They were, anytime I opened the tub, they were at it. So but
it's the Diones you have. Do you have a few? You just have one pair? Or you have a few different? Because there's a bunch of different kind of colors and morphs.
Yeah. So I originally got a trio from Dr. Loafman. It was a pair of Siberians and then a Beijing female. Female Siberian, for whatever reason, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was just age or what, but I went in one day and she was dead. There was just some blood from the mouth. No clue what happened. Could have been completely natural. Could have been maybe she got some sort of internal bleeding from food or something. I'm not entirely sure. It didn't seem like anything questionable. Obviously I took some precautions anyways, just in case. But I have the male still, and I have that female still, and she's the one who just gave me that clutch. And then I have a lone. Zach produced one baby from that Beijing female to that Siberian male, and I have that one too. But she's only a year and a half old, I think, if that. So she's a ways out, but. Yeah, I mean, those have been easy. The bimaculata seem to be a little more difficult, not like harder, but they just require, I think, a little more nuance in terms of like how you're
right,
the process of it all. But that whole group, man, like a lot of that old world Elaphe stuff, it's almost like rough scale pythons where it's like they're not hard to keep, but for whatever reason, they, up until recently, I guess with rough scale pythons, kind of a bad example, but like they're easy to keep. They're not really any different from a lot of the other stuff we already have in the hobby, but for whatever reason, like they're just, no one's really bothering with them. Like I know Diones at one point were really popular. I think bimaculata are kind of just a byproduct of that. Like people had them, didn't realize they were that because they look so similar.
yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it's surprising that Diones haven't really taken off more because of all the colors and stuff that they come in. And
yeah, there's a lot of parallels to like house big snakes. Like house snakes have kind of taken off, and Diones kind of seem like the same way, except easier almost. But not that I'm not saying that like in a bad way. But like there's a lot of cool colors. You have the variety. You have small size, easy to keep. All those like good points to me.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely on my list to get at some point. They're really cool. There's a lot of those old world rats that you don't see as much anymore. Like the leopards. Like there's not like the circles that they used to breed them. I don't think they do anymore. Like it's really hard to find people that are breeding them. Like the ladder rats. There's all kinds of these European rats that you just really don't see anymore. It's just kind of a shame.
Yeah, it's just bizarre because I think they're sort of like the middle child in terms of herpetoculture and the internet, like pre and post internet being a thing. Like beforehand they were more popular, and then they kind of faded out a little bit just before the internet got big, especially social media and stuff. And now that social media is back, like they're getting more exposure, so maybe they're going to start gaining more traction over time. But yeah, I mean the Diones have been a breeze. Like I was like, these are I mean, mine are kind of spazzy. Like my male, if I open the tub, he just starts striking at my face pretty much constantly. But he's also small. Like he's not big.
Right.
The baby, I go in there and grab her, and she's cool. The female's pretty chill if she knows she's not getting fed. Like they're not big. They're super easy to keep. None of them have ever refused food. The female actually, like she's fallen on the floor from the top of the rack she's in multiple times because she's in a V70, like coming out of the tub for food. Like she will, she comes flying out, and she's ended up on the floor at least twice because she just gets so excited. It's funny, and they just the variety. We don't have a lot of the stuff here in the States that they do over where they're native, Europe and stuff like that. So I know Matt Most has some really cool stuff. He's got some of the melanistic types, and I don't know. He said, I don't know what he's doing with them or how many he even really has, but Matt's got everything. Like Matt posts stuff. I'm like, you have that? And he's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, Matt's got everything.
It's crazy.
So what kind of carpets are you working with?
So I've got a small group of jungles. I've got a small group of coastals. So the coastals I have are mostly red coastals, and I have a pair of super caramels. So my goal, I use that term loosely, is to, I'm trying to reduce the pattern and color to make, light colored coastals on those. And then with the jungles, I've been kind of trying to go towards this higher yellow kind of phenotype, but no, just trying to produce higher colored ones. No, yeah.
Very nice.
What was the first carpet that you got, and what was the initial draw to those for you?
Yeah, to me it was the colors. Just the lavenders, the purples, the reds. Like there's really pastel colors. Like the M Pen coastals is what got me. I saw a picture online somewhere, and I was like, wow, this snake has amazing colors. And then seeing Jason Balin at those local shows, I picked up a red tiger coastal from him, and that's kind of what started it all. I really like the body structure. I really like the personality to have, which a little bit anthropomorphization, but they really are more inquisitive than some of the other snakes. You guys have carpets, the deal, but to anyone listening, it's really hard to explain. They're kind of just different. They really to me, it's still my favorite snake. I've kept a little bit of other stuff at this point, and they just really, the way they don't get too big, but they have enough size where it's kind of like, okay, that's a cool size snake. It's respectable. They have you name it, color pattern at this point, especially with all the morphs and things out there. You can do whatever you want with them. They're a great display animal. That was one of the things about ball python that I still have is that he stays under the paper the entire time, right? My carpets are out perched. They're out. You can see them. They're inquisitive. If I go over to their cages, they come over and want to know where their mouse is or rat.
Yeah,
they're right there, or they're just out perched during the day. I can just check them out. So that was the thing about carpets for me, and I think that's how Jason sold them to me. It's that they are good display animals, and all the myths that you read, he kind of just talked through it with me, and I was like, oh, okay. And sometimes you want, like, I didn't know it was Jason Balin at the time, right?
The Jason Balin.
Exactly. It was like, this was some guy to show, so I was like listening to his sales pitch, and but he was completely right, completely honest, and I love carpet pythons.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, his Very stuff cool. Is just it's some of the best.
The tigers, man.
I've always had an attraction to the tiger stuff in particular, and especially like the Russian tigers, and there's just I don't know what it is about them, but there's just always like, maybe it's just because of the the Anthony Caponetto website and seeing the tigers and the pictures he had. It was like, that's freaking cool. I'll take that over like banded stuff any day.
Yeah, and I slept on the Russian tigers. I'm still kicking myself on that. So I got my first jungle carpet from Mike Curtin, and that's around the time he was breeding those Russian tigers. And it was just a kind of a weird time in my life where I was trying not to expand too quickly, and just one of those things. I wish I had gotten them.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are awesome, really cool snakes. I'm looking forward to the stuff that Owen and Eric are doing with it, and other guys. I know like Eric Hernandez is kind of blending that in.
Oh yeah.
I don't know about him, but
he's like, man, he's the guy for reds though. Like he's become the dude with, like, honestly the best as far as what I've seen, and I'm not super in the loop, with the carpet community, but as far as I can tell, Eric has the best reds.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's killing it. The stuff he has, I mean, Brendan Meyer has some animals from him that are just killer. That, to me, I like orange snakes, and that's part of what got me into black rats, because George Miskimmon, he's kind of like an old school dude. He's actually the guy that started the white-sided black rat, the licorice black rat. And so he's kind of local to me. So he's been like line breeding these albino black rats for 30, 40 years. So I have this pair of orange albino black rats that are just like, they just blow my mind. They're so, they look like they're literally on fire. So yeah, the red stuff, trying to drive that to more orange. That's kind of the direction I'm going. Jason Balin had this male that was like you wouldn't say it was hypo, because it probably wasn't like a simple, like the hypos we have now, but it's definitely hypomelanistic, because if you look at the black on it, it's not black. It's like almost lavender purple.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a couple snakes from him, from that sire, that are just really, they have that look. So the female I bred last year, I got a small clutch from. The purples and lavenders on her, pinks, it's just those colors that I was kind of looking for when I got into carpets. Like, I'm really like grateful that I kind of got what I was shooting for almost, and these babies are pretty incredible, that I've got.
It's great, man. Yeah, nothing better than hatching baby carpets, man. I love.
Yeah,
they're awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, chondros are a sore subject for me, but yeah, someday.
I feel like they are for everybody at some point or another in their life. It's like, I don't want to talk about it.
If somebody is not like, fuck chondros, then at some point somebody has been like, fuck chondros, or will be.
I've dropped the fuck chondros for sure.
I mean, you see guys that like their first year breeding them, and they get everything is like no issues. It's like a perfect case study of like no problems getting them going, and they're like, man, this is easy. It's like, oh wait, this one was easy. You hear that from all like the older guys. They're like, yeah, like that first clutch, it went perfectly. That's great. Give it some time.
Yeah,
because you're going to be pulling your hair out. And I mean, I'm in that position. Like, I only had the one clutch, and it was relatively issue free for the most part, except for incubation. But I know it's not always going to be that simple. So
yeah, and I haven't even gotten to that point, so I can only imagine someday. I'm keeping the I'm trying to keep positive these days that I'll get. So I got. I have 5 adult chondros now. I got just a pair of locality animals recently. So I have 7 total. So it's a real small group. But I got 4 neos around 5 years ago when I got all these, which, in retrospect, I should have bought 10, 15. Because out of that, I ended up with 1 female, and she's been having issues recently. So that's kind of why I'm at the fuck chondros point again in my life. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, hopefully that all works out, man.
Is everything else like designer stuff?
Yeah, it's all designer stuff. Most of my stuff is calico blood in it to various degrees. So I have several nice males, and then the female I have is from Christian Stewart. She's from the crazy blood, so she's from the Golden Boy Biak clutch. So she's a nice animal, but she's been having some issues over the past year. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
I don't.
Our friend Dominique DeFalco went to France, but she also took a trip to Portugal to visit Pedro, and she was sending us pictures of checking out his stuff. It's like, man, that's like just Find a way to just stick it in your backpack
Yeah.
or something. Like, come on, just
Yeah,
crazy.
there's a few of his animals, I think, in the States. Or there were.
Yeah, Forrest, I think, imported some from
Yeah.
him at one point or another. I don't know if I'm surely they still have them, but
Yeah, he's got some killer stuff.
it's because they're the superior Morelia.
Yeah, that's not true, but you know.
I still need to send off. So I have that Neo from Luke. He sent in and did the genetic testing with Dr. Morrill. And so now that he's sent in the sire shed and his offspring shed, I can send in mine and get a sex determination on mine.
Nice.
So
yeah, I'm really looking forward to that taking off. I think that'll be a game changer for chondros. Because I'm at the point now I don't really, well, I'm in the process of moving too, so that's kind of been shifting my plans a little bit. So, but I really don't want to buy any more neo chondros and play the lottery. But if you get to the point where they can sex neos with the sheds, I think that'd be a real game changer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, everything in that clutch is doing awesome stuff, and then mine, which is like just now kind of starting to change, and it's not doing anything the other ones were doing. So I'm thinking there's a pretty high chance I'm going to get like the one just green snake out of that clutch, while everything else is like black and blue. And so we'll see. I mean, it's still, I mean, genetic wise, like, yeah, phenotype, it may not be, it may not match its siblings, but everything's still there. Like everything, all the parts are still there to.
Is it really starting to color up now? Is it starting
to fade from like the orange to like the weird acidy yellow sort of wash.
You never know, man. It could just be a feeding thing, you know. His might just be a little ahead of yours, and
I don't know. I've been feeding that one more than I fed previous younger ones because I'm like, because me and him and David, you know, in our little text conversation, we're having to talk about pushing chondros a little more than what we've sort of thought was maybe too much. Like they can probably handle it better than we're giving them credit for.
Yeah,
it helps
for sure. So do you still have some from the clutch that you bred?
I have one, my one holdback.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's a male. Like 90% of the other ones I have.
Yeah, story of my life.
Yeah, I don't mind being male heavy, but when you don't have a female to pair with any of them, at least not that's not of size, it's like it's really frustrating because you got all these guys that are just ready to go, and it's like, sorry, dudes.
Yeah, I essentially have zero breedable females.
But I'm in no hurry, and I'm just filling up my time with Colubrids now. So I've gone corn crazy.
Yes, you have. Yes, indeed, you have gone corn crazy.
Dude, Chris has that blue pair.
Dude, he sent me those. I was like, ooh, those are tasty.
I was almost like, just put them in a box.
The box empty.
Just put it in the damn basket.
Blue corn?
It's like a blue line motley, so they're originally like a European line, and it's kind of like the blue in a similar manner to like inland carpets, where they're not like blue, but they have sort of a bluishness to them. Yeah. But they'd be ready to breed next year, and I'm like, man, that's.
Well, you said they'll be ready to breed next year?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize they're that big. I thought they're littles.
No, I mean they still have a year to go, but if you fed them on a regular enough schedule, and you can get them up to size, no problem. They'd be ready to go. It's nice. I don't have anywhere to put them.
No, he offered me those in the Santa Rosa White Oaks, and I was like, pass on the corns, but those gray rats. Send them. So those came in today. That's very exciting.
Gray rats just do nothing for me, man. Like the White Oaks I like, but there's, as far as like generic looking rat snakes, like.
See, to me, they're not generic. I don't know what it is. Because to me, generic is yellow. Even though I love yellows, I have several yellows. To me, that's generic because that's what I see. We don't see gray rats around here. To me, to me, they're very like unique.
I think it's because you don't see as much of a change from like the time they're babies in terms of like color and pattern.
Well, yeah, that's because they all start gray, you know, and they don't have stripes. So these just turn out how all the other babies look.
So are they locality gray rats?
Yeah, these are Santa Rosa.
Oh, nice.
Santa Rosa White Oaks, and I
Where
also
is Santa Rosa in Texas?
It's in Florida.
Oh,
sweet.
Is it in Texas?
Those are nice. Yeah.
Yeah, no, those are amazing, and I also have the Apalachicola White Oaks as well.
See, I like the whites, especially the really high white ones. Those are cool.
I've got one male, dude. My male from my Apalachicolas, dude, he's turning out so crisp. So the male is like, she's almost, or the female, she's real like almost dirty kind of look, but she's still really cool looking. But the male is turning out just like really defined patterns and really nice colors and just really clean. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's just so clean, but they're so cool in like their own ways, man. I love gray rats. You know, I don't. It's a toss up for me on what's my favorite between grays and yellows because
neither.
I love rat snakes.
Yeah, I just love them all. And the only black rats I have are I have Spartanburg locality black rats
from the guy on your shirt.
Yeah,
Chris Marcos,
Dark Horse Herp.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Everyone's favorite colubrid dealer.
Yep.
Yeah, Jake, you've seemed like you've really you're going to be that guy soon.
He's just abandoned ship on Morelia.
No, man, I hope to have at least 2 carpet clutches next year, or next season. So dude, I'm expecting all kinds of stuff. But yeah, Colubrids, man, I'm all about it. I love it.
Next level now.
Yeah, I mean, I've got more Colubrids than I have carpets now. Way more Colubrids than I have carpets. But yeah, no, it's growing substantially. Lots of rat snakes and Pituophis mostly, and some water snakes dabbled in there. I found out I have too many water snakes, man. I was like, good God, how did I end up with all of these?
You can never have too many in a row, do you?
No, dude, they're so fun though, man. I love them. They're nuts. They're nuts, but I absolutely love them. I have one pair that's just they're always very curious, and it's so fun just like opening the tub because they come right out. You know, they kind of look like they're looking for food. Sometimes they'll come at you kind of gaping, but like a lot of times they'll just come out, and I'll put my knees just kind of up to the tub, and they'll just come out and they'll get on my leg and just kind of go up my leg, and I'll put my hand out. They'll get on my hand. I'll just hang out with them for a minute. They're super cool, man. There's only 2 of them that do that. Okay,
what about the other ones?
Yeah, the other ones kind of fall out of the. We may have had a mishap the other day where one almost got behind my rack. Yeah, he dove out of his tub because I did a bunch of upgrades over the week. He wasn't getting upgraded; he was just getting moved down to the other rack. But in the process of
especially after what happened, huh?
Oh yeah. So in the process of moving, he kind of dove out of his tub, and so I put that down, and I was trying to grab him, but when he landed, he bolted right between my V70 stack and then my XR stack. There's a gap about yay wide through there, just barely big enough to fit my arm, and he got all the way back there. I reached back and I missed him, but I put everything I had into it as he was going. I just nabbed the tip of his tail and pulled him out, and he was biting me and pooping on me, and he was not happy.
Good thing BlackBox makes dollies.
Yeah.
So that if anything like this happens.
See, that's the thing though. I got to thinking about it, and it's like, because I wanted to switch all my stuff to dollies, but because of that incident, I would almost rather keep the toe kicks because stuff can't get underneath it. You know what I mean? If something hits the ground, stuff won't get underneath it. And my solution to fix my problem was to push them together and to not have that gap. You know, because I leave enough space between the wall and the cage and my cages to walk back there if I need to. But you know, if you have them on the caster, it could get underneath. But
so Jake, what do you keep your like your adult yellow rats in, things like that? Because I'm still not sure what I want to do with none of my black rats are really adult yet, and I'm not sure where I want to go with that. I'd love to keep them in cages, but I don't have the space right now. Someday I will, but as of now I don't, and I'm curious what you're doing.
Currently, I've got I have one big yellow rat, and I've got 2 that are on the longer side. They're not huge, but they're getting there. So my big yellow right now is in a 110 quart hefty tub, and he does fine in that, I think, but he's really big for like a yellow rat. To me, he's huge. He's pushing 6 foot. So he's crammed. He's a little crammed in there, in my opinion. He's getting upgraded to a 3x2x2 cage as soon as my light comes in. I'm waiting on a heat light. for it. And then he'll be getting moved into that. I've got my gray rats. They both just, because I'm keeping them together right now, and they could breed next year, and I've got them both in 110 cord as well, and it's very comfortable for them.
So with the 110 quarts, do you have that like on a rack, or how do you set those up?
So we have Justin actually doesn't run these anymore. I still do. We used to run what we call the poor man's rack. And it's the metal baker's racks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually have two of those, one with carpets, one with some colubrids. But so for me, I like having, once rat snakes get to a certain size, I want them in something taller.
Right.
I don't mind them in racks until they get to, it's just, I don't know exactly, but like just to a certain size, and then I want them to be able to go up a little bit more.
Yep.
So I've got my bigger rat snakes on this metal or this baker's rack, and then the way I heat it is I have these Ultratherm heat pads from Reptile Basics. You can get 3-foot ones and 4-foot ones they're 3 and 4 foot long by 6 inches wide. And I just tape those across the back, and I just use those as belly heat, and you can put the tub right on it. And they do get a little warm, so I do a really thick layer of bedding, but also helps with like thermal regulation. You can be kind of warm up top, super warm towards the bottom, cool head.
Yeah. That's a good
those tubs work for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I love the hefties, man. But I have switched. The only hefties I use now are the 110 quarts for my big or for my smaller yellow rat pair. They're sub-adults at this point, but they're in the weather sealed ones that have the big latches all around. Yeah, the gasket tubs. I have I think they're like 72 quarts or something like that. They're a big hefty one, but they seal really well. That's why I use those. And because rat snakes are horrendous for escaping. But the 110 quart hefties do really well for the bigger stuff because they have no play in the lid whatsoever.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's what I'm using for those. But eventually, I hope the end goal would to have all my stuff and like all my adult rat snakes in 3x2x2 enclosures. That's going to be the end goal with, especially having BlackBox. I plan to stack up on 3x2x2s for most stuff. Some big yellows might go into a 4x2x2 if I, really want to, but I think, because they're going to average around anywhere from 3 to 5 foot, on average for most rat snakes, but the yellows will push upwards of 6 foot. And I like them being able to stretch out over the length and width. So that's kind of what I go by, is length and width would be the length of the snake. And so at least I try.
Yeah. The problem, that sounds about what I had in mind. The problem I'm having right now is the like heat panels. So that's kind of what I use for most of my cages is radiant heat panels. You just can't find them anymore.
There's been that's been an issue for a lot of people, especially like I think the VE ones have been particularly difficult. Like Reptile Basics has had a really hard time keeping those in stock. And I know that just because Jen and them at BlackBox, they too have had issues being able to get them in consistently and stuff like that. And I'm sure it's China and supply chain related stuff because of it. But
that's one thing I'm changing with, because on my big cages for my carpets, I actually run belly heat. I have some Reptile Basics cages that I have my big carpets in. I run belly heat on those, which is, it's fine. They've been in there for years. It works. I don't love it, but I'm actually going to be switching everything over to actual halogen heat bulbs, like just very low wattage, because they never.
Is there such a thing as a low wattage halogen?
Yeah, I ordered a 25 watt.
The only ones I've seen are like surface of the sun. That's the wattage you get.
No, I ordered. I mean, we'll see how hot they get. I got a 25 watt. I talked to Arthur Blodgett.
Oh, okay.
Or Roy.
Roy. How do you do that with like? Do you stack your cages, or how do you do that with?
So with the BlackBox, they make it so they'll basically, if you order through BlackBox, which this cage I have the 3x2x2 that's waiting for the yellow rat that I'm waiting for a bulb for. I got it set up completely. So I got a fixture mounted in there for a heat bulb, which also has a cage around it. And then so the wire comes up and then it's recessed into the cage. So the wire doesn't get in the way for stacking up. Everything will lay flat. Nothing gets pinched, anything like that. And then it's the same way. So I'm also incorporating UVB, or at least I'm trying to incorporate UVB in my setups moving forward. So this one's also equipped with a UVB strip in there that's going to be on for about 3 hours, 3 to maybe 4, probably around 3 hours a day. All these are going to be on timers, and yeah. So all that was pre-made in the cage.
Yeah, that model in particular comes assembled.
The only thing,
it ships assembled. So like you can get all this stuff added, and then you just have to take it out of the box, set it up, and plug and go.
The only thing I had to buy away from BlackBox is a heat bulb. They gave me the UVB bulb. They hooked everything up. They had the cage. They'll sell you the cages if they have them. Try to keep them in stock, but that's another one.
A trouble keeping those around.
I got one of their last cages I got their last cage for a UVB strip. So luckily, because if you're keeping any type of rat snakes or anything that's semi-arboreal, put a cage on all your light fixtures, for love of God. So I have cages over the basking area and for the UVB bulb. Still have to install that. And that's the only other thing I had to install is the cage for the UVB. And even then, I think if you ordered it from them, they may already install that. But it was because we saw Jen and, it was a whole thing. So she just handed it to me. But yeah, no. So I'm super duper stoked. I got one of the, I just went on Amazon, took a lot of finding because weirdly, like most of the small, so I got the, a nano, it's a nano halogen bulb. They're real small. But it took a lot of finding because a lot of those have just like the 2 prongs that you put in and it's just like a turn. And they're screwed in, but this is an actual fixture that you screw in, and there really isn't many bulbs that are those nanos at the low wattage that actually screw in. So it took a lot of searching, but I managed to find some.
Yeah, that sounds like that'd be a sweet setup.
Yeah, I'm excited. We'll see how it goes. I'm a little worried about it getting too hot in there. So we'll see. And it's just gonna be lights out at night. I'm gonna start giving everything, cycles, at least in cages. Night cycles, and because I've always been weird about it. I've never really been big into night cycles, but I'm realizing that's a very natural occurrence.
They help.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not natural to have a basking spot or even a hot spot like all night. There might be warmer sections of the forest or wherever they are, but still normally these are more active at night. So I mean,
yeah, everything I have is on a night cycle. I give everything at least a 5 to, it's 10 degrees in the thermostat. It probably doesn't actually drop 10 degrees in my house, but it, at least, everything is definitely on. I do everything with a night trap here.
Yeah.
So what do you do for like winters? Anything different?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So I don't have like a reptile room. I have my stuff dispersed throughout my house for now anyway. So it's basically whatever my ambient temperatures are. So in the summer, it's probably 75-ish, and then in the winter 65-ish for ambience, and then I will set the thermostats up with like a safety net. So for my all my pythons, I'll set that, I'll do a gradual decrease down to around 68, 70, which probably the heat probably doesn't even kick on in the dead of winter. And then the rat snakes and the colubrids and stuff I just put in my basement, and that's where I had concerns. That's why I messaged you, Justin, because it's funny, I had just put all my colubrids down. This is the first time I did it, right? I'm completely green to this colubrid breeding, and put all my stuff down in the basement. I checked it in the past just because of not even related to snakes, just seeing what it gets down to down there, and it was like getting down to like mid 50s. So like, oh, this should be good. And then I put everything down there. It was like 63, 64. I was like, oh fuck, like this is not good. And then like as soon as I did that colubrid radio podcast with Matt and Zach came out, and they're like, you got to get stuff to 50 degrees or it's gonna die, because if you're in that in between zone where their metabolism's still going but they're not really brumating. And then that's why I messaged you, and I was like, oh, I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my god, did this kill all my stuff? Like,
yeah, that's Once
Yeah.
again,
But,
that's why I wish I had a cooler, because I really hope I don't have to deal with that this year, where it's like November and it's 70 degrees.
I'm
And
telling
Yeah.
you, dude, I'm gonna be cooling a lot of stuff this year. I wait until end of December, January. I'm gonna stick them
yeah,
under.
and
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
stick them
maybe
under for January and February, and
I
Well,
think
that's the
pull
thing,
them
it's
out.
gonna
like,
depend on the season mostly. Like if it's gonna actually get cooler when it's supposed to get cooler and stay cooler, which I don't expect it to, because we're turning into Florida more and more
and
every
that's
year.
what I'm
but,
saying. Like it only really seems to stay cold in January
Yeah.
and most of February. So it's like,
yeah, I'm
luckily,
surprised
most
you
of
guys can even get that cold, because like, I like I said, I got down like it was like 60 most of the winter. There were a couple like days when it was like, really cold, where it dipped down like 58. I did get down to, but that was a couple days. So like then I started looking around, like how do these Colubrid guys, like other parts of the country, like you guys in the South or
Well,
Texas and
our
stuff.
garages aren't nearly as well insulated as
Yeah,
like a northern basement. Like my
right.
family in Wisconsin, those basements can get warm when it's -30 out.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I
Yeah,
can either go to
so
my basement where it's 60 degrees, or I can go to my garage where it's 30 degrees. There's no in
yeah,
between.
exactly. You could always try, and this is just a thought, if you have a plug somewhere in your garage, what you could do is, if you can set up like a little corner, hook a heater up to a thermostat, put the thermostat on top of your boxes, your external boxes with your Colubrids, and
Yeah,
then set the probe at 55 degrees, have that heater blowing on it or towards it, whatever, and then have it just shut off and on as it.
yeah, that's not a bad idea.
It's just a thought.
Yeah, I don't know. I like at night I turn everything off. Like I think the only thing that has heat is the hatchling rack, and even then they don't need it. It's just I don't have it hooked up to the same power strip as everything else. So like Ackies get a cool down, all the snakes get a cool down, and then, like I think even when you go like throughout the year, the different seasons, like they can tell that there's clearly a difference, because the night times are getting cooler.
Yeah,
The daytimes aren't getting as warm. I've talked a lot about photo period being probably a bigger factor than maybe it's people want to think it is.
yeah. I think that's a big deal for sure. And all my snakes are in rooms where there's natural light coming in. So I think they do. You can see it. So the nice thing is about things having dispersed in my house is I have snakes in my living room, which is good and bad. But I can see when like things like that, right? I know when the photo period is decreasing. I see their activity changing, and I get to observe them. And not to get into like a controversial topic, but the whole tub versus cages thing, to me, cages is really only good for the keeper. But you do get to see it. It definitely has benefit, and that's the one thing I like. I have snakes, so I like to see them. Like I have snakes in tubs, but I don't like that just because I can't see them. Right? I think a lot of them do better in the tubs, but watching the snakes in the cages in my living room, where there's natural photo periods where they track that, for sure you can see. I can monitor the behavior. I know when those males are looking like I said. I have limited experience, but it's pretty easy to tell when to put those snakes together. So I attribute a lot of my limited success to that. Is that I can see when they let me know, and I can just put them together.
Nice.
Yeah, but even then, like when you get into the whole conversation about 60 isn't cool enough, it's like that's also going to depend. Like 60 definitely won't be cool enough for like the Diones and the Bimaculata, but for the corns, it's like that's what we get here. So it's like I said, I'm convinced that a lot of stuff here, at least within the last several decades, because it seems to be getting warmer in the winter. Like I don't think a lot of it truly goes down.
And I think right. I think it's all relative, right? So if they're used to being kept at warmer, and then you're still getting a 10-degree drop, it's enough to trigger that. Which I'm saying that without any real
and
expertise, but it seems to be the case. Like where for a lot of things anyway. Obviously, that's not going to be the case across the board, but
and it's like I've Zach Loafman said it on the show, and that it's had my gears turning since. When he brought up, at least southeastern stuff, at least your Colubrids from here, coming out more of a carpet python approach to it of cooling them down, at night, then warming them back up during the day, hot spots and everything, but then at night drop them to 60s, something like that, and continue feeding them lightly, to keep them going, because their systems and metabolisms are still going to be going. But
a light brumation,
right?
Well, it's also interesting. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's exactly how you do carpets, minus the feeding. When you're breeding carpets in the winter, you don't really feed them for the most part.
That's the thing, and that's maybe true. But I found that like if I don't feed my carpets during the winter, is when they don't ovulate. The females, anyway.
Sometimes that one meal can kick an ovulation type of.
Yeah, because even carpets at the temperatures I'm taking them to, low 70s, maybe high 60s at night. They're still active. They still want food. They're still out hunting almost every day. And if I give the females food, if I don't feed them, it seems that's when things kind of drag out in terms of the reproductive cycle. But if I feed them, it seems to push it along. But yeah, it was really interesting with the Zach and Matt. I love their podcast. I think you guys are doing
one of the best.
All you guys. I'll just take a second to throw my appreciation for all you guys putting content out on podcasts. It's awesome. But those guys, that like I said, that podcast kind of threw me into a freak out cycle. But then it was interesting to the follow-up podcast where they were saying they were getting all this feedback about all the people replying saying that it was, their stuff was breeding despite the conditions. And then I was like, okay, and I guess, it's just interesting to see I love how the community comes together for some of these things to try and share knowledge. It's really one of the things I like about snake keeping and breeding.
Yeah, I could listen to Matt and Zach talk.
Yeah, dude.
It's just they've both done so much. Matt with the sheer number of species he's kept and bred. It's like if you're not learning something from either of them, then there's no hope for you. It's like and Matt's just got all the coolest stuff. Zach does too.
Zach's just the freaking man, dude. He's awesome and he's killing it this year. Got a bunch of king clutches on the ground. Got black pines on the ground.
And I think what's even more impressive as far as Matt is like his collection is massive, and like that guy's on the road and works a lot.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Manages.
Right. Yeah. Not only does he have all that stuff, but he's working his ass off and out of town a lot and still nailing it.
And doing a podcast.
Matt, Zach, Rob Stone, the Holy Trinity.
The Holy Trinity. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Stonemost and Lochman.
Huh?
Lochman.
No, it's Lochman.
I think it's
Loafman.
It's
actually Loafman.
Pronounced Lochman.
Not by him. Do you even listen to his podcast?
I do.
Dude?
That's like
he doesn't say
that's
Lochman at all.
One of the podcasts I make sure I listen to. I have to listen to the new episode still. But
he doesn't say Lochman. He says Loafman.
That's like the old English way of saying it.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna say it the way the guy who has the last name says it.
Okay. So where was your recent herping trip to?
Yeah, so I was out in I guess it's the Southwest, but Vegas area. So flew into Vegas, and then I was in Utah, West Utah, and did a little day excursion into California. Herping is a thing I kind of really got into the last couple of years, and then so that last trip, I was just trying to get some rattlesnakes. I heard you guys talking about a little bit the last episode where I think Phil brought up the seasonality thing. That's kind of where I've gotten to with my herping and planning my vacations around is the what can I do at this time of year type of thing. So I was trying to knock off a few rattlesnake species out there. I got pretty lucky. The weather conditions really weren't ideal, but it was still a pretty awesome trip. Got my lifer speckled rattlesnake. Panamint rattlesnake. So yeah, it was really good.
Hey, Utah is on my list, man.
I would love to herp Utah, man. Oh.
Hang out with
Utah's
Dr.
awesome.
Julander, Dr. J.
So the thing, herping is a kind of I don't want to say weird thing. So I've always been into like reptiles, like we talked about, but like it never really clicked that herping was something you could get good at until like a couple years ago for me.
Yeah.
It was always something like, yo, I go hiking, I saw a snake, and that was awesome. But it was like, it was just always just like, oh, it was a coincidence kind of a thing. And then I kind of realized I was like, well, I can actually like learn about this stuff and get some knowledge and actually get good at it. And then that's what I've been doing. I'm still like, I'm not claiming to be an expert herper, but it's like it's been fun learning, and that's part of what I love about it is the research, all these learning about all these different animals or habitats, and just kind of trying to figure it out. I do research that's my job for real work. So being able to research all these different animals and say, okay, how do I actually target something and find it is been a real, that to me, that's a lot of the fun. And then even if I just go out and go hiking for a couple of days, it's better than working. At least I'm outside. Yeah. At least I'm outside. So even if I see like no reptiles, I don't really care. But having that extra little like scavenger hunt kind of flair to it is really it's kind of fun. I've really gotten into it the last couple of years.
And that was the coolest part about Texas, man. Is like even if we don't find the stuff we want to see, like even just being out there in the landscape and just it being the polar opposite of what we have here. It's completely new, so everything was cool. Like there's Dr. Julander was getting psyched about birds. We both tried to catch an armadillo. Like it was like it's cool. Like if we don't even see snakes, like I'm okay with that. Like it's just it's something different. It's something it's a new frontier.
Yeah, like I've been to West Texas, not herping. Like I was there in February. Once I had like so I work for the government, so I get all the government holidays. And
same.
And I used to travel a lot for work. Still kind of do, not as much for sure since COVID. But like, so I had a ton of like miles and stuff like that. So it's cheap for me to go on relatively short trips. So it's like, I was like, oh, I want to go to Big Bend National Park and go hiking for a couple of days. So I went in, February. Obviously, I didn't see any reptiles, but like just that was before I really got it back into herping. And it's just like seeing all these new places. And I was traveling a lot for work. And I was like, okay, I'm going to a lot of these places that are, kind of iconic herping places. I was going to Arizona, Florida, these places like that. So can I get good enough at herping where I can spend a couple hours and go out and find some cool animals? Where, I fly in the night before, I have the night, I can go out night cruising, or a couple hours in the afternoon and actually get good at finding stuff. And I just started doing more research into it. I got Mike Pingleton's book. And a lot of the stuff is kind of, I don't want to say common sense, but kind of, and it was stuff I've been doing all along. But once you reinforce that and you kind of have this community where like, yeah, you can actually like find stuff. You can actually target something and finding it. I don't know. To me, it just seemed crazy. Like there was a couple of things that came together about 5 years ago. I was like, I had never seen a rattlesnake in the wild in my life. And I was like, I grew up in Southeast PA, like 20 minutes from Hamburg, where there's, it's timber rattlesnake central. I'm like, I've never seen a rattlesnake in my life. I'm like, okay, can I put enough of this together where I can find a rattlesnake? I live in Maryland. It's like, can I find one here? Can I find one in PA? Somewhere local to me. And so I started like, just trying. And it's like, and then sure enough, you can. It's just like kind of anything else in life, right? It's until you actually try it. It's pretty much you can do anything you put your mind to. And it sounds cheesy, but it's true. And so I started practicing, around me. It's like, okay, I can find some stuff. So it's like, okay, I go to Tennessee, and then I found corn snakes in the wild for the first time. I started finding all this other stuff, which, as a kid, I would dream about finding this stuff. And it's like, okay, this is, it's doable. So that's kind of how I got into, herping, right? I never called it herping before, but actually trying to find a lot of these wild reptiles, amphibians. I really got into salamanders the last couple of years, which I never thought I would be into, but something about the diversity, it starts getting really trippy when you start seeing all these different divergent. You know, you go to the Appalachians and there's 20 different species of salamanders on one mountain peak. It's like, what? How did this happen? It's like it's kind of cool. You start to see all these different aspects of it.
Yeah, no, man. Salamanders are always those things for me because I rarely see them. But whenever I do, it's like a little treat. You know what I mean? Like it's always
especially marbled.
Yeah, dude, I love marbled salamanders.
It's probably my favorite species.
Dude, my same. So
yeah, a lot of it was like, sorry to cut you off, Jake.
No,
like a lot of these like amphibians, like, okay, if I'm gonna actually like invest my time or money to go on a trip somewhere, I want to know that I can do it. And so, you know, like ambustimid salamanders, you know, marbled salamanders, spotted salamander, a lot of these things, you know, spadefoot toads, a lot of these amphibians, they you can only find them like a couple days of the year, maybe a couple nights of the year. So I was like, okay, well, if I can do that, if I can learn enough about their habitat, where to find these things, and actually find that, okay, then I have a little bit more confidence in road cruising in Arizona. And that it's kind of apples and oranges, but to me, it makes sense.
I was about to say most people would start with the road cruising.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, well, these days with the price of gas, you know, driving around for
That's
hours.
true. That's a very good point. The other night, I was like, man, it could go I should go road cruising. I was like, but that gas,
$4.20 a gallon,
$4.20 a gallon,
which is still cheaper than a lot of places.
It's ridiculous.
Painful.
Yeah, it's awful.
Because I'm like, Jake, let's go road cruising and all those I'm like, now that I have weekends off, like me and Jake can go road cruising, and then I see gas prices. I'm like,
But see, at least now, if we can start going together, then we can split gas. So like whoever drives, just throw that person a couple bucks towards gas, and that'll
you need to like do like an Uber while you herp, right?
Yeah.
So you can get a paying fare along the way.
I don't know. I feel like I haven't figured out that sort of the craft of herping, of knowing where to go and what to look for. And it's just, I don't know if it's just because all the snakes, like on Sunday mornings when we finish cleaning mice and we go flip the tin on my parents' property, I mean, it's a very limited, very tiny area, but it's like,
but you also
never see anything.
You also have to realize the time of day we're also going out and looking. It's usually almost noon by then.
Yeah,
you know, that's like the worst time to go herping.
Yeah, so and that's what's interesting too about me that I think helped with my herping, and maybe I just tell myself that is that, you know, going herping in less than optimum conditions. So like if I was traveling for work, right, and I'm like in Texas in September, or you know, February or something, less than ideal time. It's like, okay, if I can find something in this time, then I have more confidence that you can find something any other time. And that's kind of what I started doing. I was like, okay, I set this goal. This was like, it was kind of funny. It was right before COVID. It was like the winter of 2019. I'm like, in 2020, I'm going to try and focus on like local stuff. I'm going to try and find as many things in Maryland. I'm going to cross off everything in Maryland that I can. And then COVID happened. So it gave me a lot more time. So it was kind of fortuitous, but like it really accelerated my learning curve. And so, you know, that tells you right there, you know, 2 years is the amount of time that I've been doing this. Like, I don't want to say seriously, it's a hobby, right? But semi-seriously, I've been putting my efforts into it, and it's really paid off. Like you know, now, like, you know, that recent trip to Las Vegas, it really wasn't great conditions. I kind of missed the weather window a little bit, but I was able to adapt. And I think a lot of field herping is, I think Jake, you alluded to this, is being able to adapt to what, you know, is going to be active in those certain conditions, or, you know, and when. So, you know, whether you need to night cruise for certain snakes, or they're going to be out during the day basking and those kind of things, and you know, are under tin flipping. It's really kind of learning those nuances where it's not like you know, it's not rocket science, but it takes experience, it takes knowledge, and it's kind of fun to figure those things out. And you get to see nature in action, and especially like one thing that I never thought I would be into was frogs. And yeah, just going out systematically throughout a season and you see the progression of frog calls. To me now, that's like, I love it. I love going out and see, okay, I can predict, like I can go out in February and the spring peepers are calling, and then I can go out, you know, the next time and the toads are calling. Now, you know, around my house, the great tree frogs are calling, and it's just kind of interesting how you kind of get a little bit more in tune with nature.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a fun journey. I'm certainly not an expert herper. I'll definitely not say that, but it's been a fun learning experience for sure.
Yeah.
What better way to social distance than to be out in the
Oh
middle of
yeah,
nowhere looking for
man.
snakes?
yeah. That's always been my I'm not a
He was doing it
social
long
person.
before COVID.
Yeah, exactly. COVID was a godsend for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank
for
God. Get away from you people.
now I have an excuse to do this and not sound weird.
Yeah, now it can be exactly. Now it can be a weirdo in the open.
Well, if you ever find yourself down this way, man, come on. I got some real good spots. I can put you on some.
Yeah, hell yeah, definitely
on
hit
some
you up
stuff.
sometime. Love to.
Apparently, if I'm out of town, that's his good luck charm because that's when he finds all the cool stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
wow.
managed to find. I had a buddy from New York. I don't know if you listened to the episode where I talked about my buddy Ben Frame coming down.
Yeah.
Found a baby rattlesnake in 50-degree weather, and it was. Oh, I was losing.
And that's the other interesting thing, right? You find stuff when you least expect to. So like you plan a herping trip and then you're there, so you're gonna go herping,
Yeah,
right?
you're gonna go, but I
So,
was
like,
I was not. It shouldn't have happened. There was no reason we should have seen that thing, but we did.
exactly. So you learn,
Mhm.
like to me, you learn a lot more about I don't know necessarily that it translates directly to captive husbandry, but to me you learn a lot. So like I was in Southern California around this time last year, and it was like same thing. I missed the weather window, and I was like, oh shit. And I got a funny story about I don't know if you guys know David Haston. He's a jungle breeder.
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with the name. I don't know him.
Yeah,
personally, but
so I found a rubber bow. It was like like 65 degrees, and I was just out there herping because that's why I was there. It was better than being in the hotel room. But yeah, it was really funny how small world it is. So I was out there, a really well-known herping road for cruising in Southern California, and I was hoping to find a couple of rattlesnake species, including red diamond rattlesnake. And my first pass on this road, I find this red diamond rattlesnake. I was like, oh man,
wow,
the beginner's luck, right?
No,
this is awesome. Yeah, I mean, it was like windy, it was cold. I was like, there's no way I wasn't even going to go out. It was like depressing. And then the first pass on this road, I find this red diamond rattlesnake, which is one of my targets. And this guy stops and he's like, oh, what you got there? And he's like, oh, it's a rattlesnake, and like speeds off because out there it's not a big deal.
A Ruber, gross.
Yeah, exactly. So then I get up to the end of the road, I turn around, come back, and I stop. I find a rosy bow, and I was like, this is something I've wanted to see since I was a kid. I was through the roof, I was shaking, the whole thing, and I'm sitting there taking pictures of it. Same guy stops again. He's like, oh, what you got there? And rosy bow. And so he's sitting there watching me. And then we start talking. And he wanted to show me pictures of his phone of some other rosy bow. And he starts scrolling through, and I see a picture of a chondro. And I'm like, oh, you keep chondros? And he's like, yeah, what you know about chondros? Like kind of a thing. Like out in the middle, like this was out in the middle of the desert in the dark, like kind of sketchy, like who the fuck is this guy kind of a thing. And he's showing me his
want
phone.
to see my chondro zip?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, where's this going? My trouser snake. And, so he's like, and then he's like, keeps going. He's like, oh, that's a jungle carpet. And I'm like, and he's like, I think I sold you a snake. Cause he's like, what's your name? I'm like, oh, Brandon. He's like, well, I think I've sold you a snake. I'm like, okay. And then he's like, what's your name? He's like, oh, David Haston. I'm like, so it was really wild. So it's like really a small world
crazy.
out there.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Really crazy. Yeah.
So out there herping, where a lot of times these worlds don't cross, and then I meet this other guy who I actually have snakes from, who's produces killer jungle carpets in the middle of the desert at night. So yeah, things like that. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's nuts, man. That's so cool though.
I had a rosy boas I like them.
Rosy boas are the devil.
Man, the one I had as a kid would like completely ruin them for me.
I
think it was dick.
I say I had one. I partially had one. It belonged to the girl I was dating at the time. Yeah, I took care of it, but it was hers, whatever. But dude, that thing was they're just ridiculous. They just anger me. They're dumb. They're not dumb, but they're actually really cool snakes. I'm fascinated by them, but I don't think I would ever keep them. They're really cool. Maybe I would have one in like a really cool display, because they are really neat snakes, but they are just
the ones with like a nice brick
different.
red. Like there are some localities of them that I don't know what the localities are, but I see them and I'm like, okay, that's a nice rosy.
Just the one we would have would just like you'd be holding it, and it would be fine, whatever, and it would just like it'd come up and it would just kind of like put its nose in your hand. All of a sudden, it would pick up its head a little bit and just open its mouth and just wrap your hand right there. And it's like, what are you doing, dude? Like, stop, stop, don't stop doing that. See, it's not even that, because that corn just kind of like snaps a little bit,
It's like when it's coming, it's not that bad. So when you can't trust them, like they seem like they're okay till they're not.
It's ridiculous. And it wasn't like it was an aggressive snake. It was just.
Right.
It was just weird. It just
had a taste for flesh.
It just wanted to gnaw on you. It thought everything was food. It's like, come on, man, chill. I don't know. Rosy bows, they're cool. I don't know if I'd ever keep them again.
What are your tricks? Because you do some photography stuff. What are your tricks for keeping colubrids still while you're taking pictures of them?
Yeah, I laughed when you send me that. I'd love to know some tricks. I guess I have a couple of tricks. It's really hard. It's really frustrating. So the classic one, right, is either the hat or, if I'm at home, I have some bowls I'll use.
Yeah, the bowl.
And really, I think the trick is patience. So whether it's you have a cover object that you can cover them with or you're handling them, you can either handle them till they kind of tire out, or just put that cover on it. So if I'm taking pictures at home, I will put this bowl on top of them and then put something heavy on top of that so that it just sits there, and then walk away for a few minutes, because sometimes you think it's long enough and it's not. You really have to give them time to settle out. So wild colubrids, it's a little bit different, not too much different, but I will try to take as many pictures as I can without touching them first, because if you don't touch them, a lot of times they're kind of cool. They're kind of cool with you.
That's what I was gonna say. That's my main thing, is take your pictures when you walk up on it. Don't try and move it. Don't try and stage some crap. You will get your best shots as soon as you walk up to it.
Yeah, even if it's in the road, which I don't really like taking pictures on the road, but it is what it is. That's how you found them, so it's natural.
That's where you can get your really close headshots.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Whenever I find them on the road is when I try and get the really zoomed in, head stuff.
Yeah,
you got a nice background with landscape, and get the whole thing. But if it's nice,
that's really hard. So like this last trip, I found a really nice gopher snake on my last day in California in the middle of the day. It had a beautiful backdrop. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try and get this wide angle shot with this gopher snake. It wasn't happening. It just wasn't gonna sit still. But so at night, or even like in the house colubrids, like a lot of times I find I use lights in my house if I'm doing a photo shoot. So a lot of times bright lights they kind of get captivated by it, for lack of a better word. They'll kind of, sometimes they kind of get, it stuns them. And the same thing at night. Like if you find something road cruising, I will leave a bright flashlight, and it sounds kind of cruel. It probably is. I'll shine it right in their eyes and
blind them, and then you can take pictures of them. They can't run if they can't see where they're going.
Hey, I figure it's better than them letting them get hit by a car, which is what's going to happen. But and a lot of times I'm by myself. So if you have two people, I think things are easier, because you could have kind of one person wrangle the snake while the other person takes pictures. But a lot of times I'm by myself, so I will leave the flashlight there, and that usually captivates them. Same thing with carpet. Carpets are horrible to photograph too. Same thing. The lights seem to help with carpets, but the bowl trick is really the way to go. If you look at my pictures, a lot of times things kind of coiled up, and that's why. It's because it was under a bowl for 5 minutes to get it to stay still.
I found with carpets, they're a little easier if you give them something to grab.
Yeah, like a stick.
Yeah, a stick or perch or just something. If they move around for a minute, it'll check everything out, and they'll just kind of stop, and then
It's another way
And the other
chondros
thing,
spoil you, man.
Yeah.
and the other thing with Colubrids is I have a so with photos, the big thing everybody always asks about, camera and lenses and stuff like that, which it does make a difference, but the biggest thing is light. So
Thank you.
strobes and diffusers and things like that, even for indoor photography. I have I don't know if I think it's about 15 or 18-inch round diffuser, which does a good job diffusing, but it also, since it's so big, I can take that and use it as a deflection device. So if like that gopher snake in Nevada, like, right, it starts trying to go away, I can just tap it with that, and then it kind of comes back to center. And a lot of it is being quick, right? So you have to be kind of confident with your photography stuff. And a lot of times that means maybe my uh, camera settings aren't perfect, but I can fix it in post, kind of a thing, because you have like a fraction of a set before that thing's taken off again.
Right.
I think that's the biggest trick, is being confident in your photo skills. And that's why I spend a lot of time just taking pictures of bullshit, to be honest, to practice. Because when I'm in situations like that, I want to know that I can fire off a couple shots. Maybe I'm lucky if I get a decent shot off because of some of these things. And that's where, to me, the photography part, I enjoy it because of the challenge. I got into photography. I do a lot of scuba diving. So I got into photography originally a long time ago because of underwater photography and taking pictures of things underwater. So a real dynamic environment, low light, all these things, which kind of translate to a lot of this herp photography, taking pictures at night a lot of the time, an animal that's constantly moving. And really, you look on Instagram, there's tons of awesome, I mean, really awesome herp photographers out there. And I think a lot of people don't appreciate what it takes to get a lot of these photos, because these animals don't want to stay still. These animals are are fighting for their life, kind of a thing.
Especially
And,
dart frogs, man.
Oh,
those
yeah.
dart frog photographers, it's like, good God, those things don't.
Like, I see some of these pictures of like coach whips, or like, it's like how did you get this? Like, it takes the appreciation to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Well, you see that one picture, but you didn't see the 30 others of just a blur of an animal.
Yeah, because that's what I was gonna say, is like, if you're taking pictures of a snake, my go-to is always bursts and a lot.
Yeah. That's the way to go.
It was always like 3-shot bursts, like, or do a bunch, that way you get that sequence. I can't tell you how many times I've shot a burst and the perfect shot was the one in the middle. I don't know why, but that one in the middle was the one that was most crisp, and it's like,
and the other, that's great advice. And the other advice that I would have from my personal experience is to patience, right? Because like a lot of times, like, I find something, like, I'm super excited and like I'm just freaking out. Like one of the my best finds was a Gila monster, something I wanted to see since I was a kid. I completely lost my shit. Like, I got 0 good photos of it just because I was freaking out. And it's like
shaking half the time.
I didn't take the lens cap off, like all the like everything. So I still get that with a lot of the stuff you see, and so it's like a lot of it is just taking your time and working with the animal. So colubrids, a lot of times, even if you don't have something to put over it, you can use your hands, right? And they will. I've never really ran into an aggressive colubrid, so you just kind of, it's hard to describe. And I know this is an audio podcast, I'm using my hands, but you kind of just try and angle them towards center or towards where you want to take your photograph, and they'll avoid your hands, right? Same thing with carpet pythons in a captive setting, right? You just kind of direct them a little bit. I really think they can pick up on, and this is complete speculation and probably bro science bullshit, but like, I think they pick up on, they flick their tongue a lot. Any snake you find, colubrid, rattlesnake, anything, they flick their tongue a lot when you first come upon them. And I've never had a rattlesnake, and I'm using that as an example, but really any snake, really be aggressive. And I think they can pick up on your intentions. It's like, and like I said, this is probably complete bullshit, so feel free to ignore it, but like, it seems like they can pick up on your energy. So like, if you come at them like curious, it seems like they respond in that matter. Whereas if you come like hard at them, like it's different. It's a lot more defensive. So I think taking your time, in general, it helps a lot of ways, and that's kind of generic, not really helpful advice. But to me, I always try to do that. Just try and like breathe a little bit, because it's you get so excited, right? Especially if you're out cruising for like, a couple hours and you finally find something. It's like, holy shit, I found a rosy boa, or I found whatever rattlesnake. It's like you just want to go hard at it and like get the pictures and do all that. And I think that affects it. And then a lot of times I'm impatient with taking enough pictures, like what you were saying, Jake, with the burst thing, where we're like, I'll take a couple pictures and then the snake is not cooperating and I get frustrated. But like, you really have to kind of like, focus in, say like, okay, like, because it's always a balance, right? I don't want to stress the animal out too much, and I don't want to waste a lot of time if I'm not going to get decent photos. So you just try and find a balance. Like, okay, is this snake going to cooperate? And you try and direct it as much as you can to get some decent photos, and then you kind of move on.
And then at that point, there's also, because there's so many with photography, especially like in the wild, if you're in an indoor setting, you have lights, you have control over that. If you're in situ, then you don't have control of your lighting. And a lot of times that snake is in terrible lighting, and you just kind of gotta, and that's the thing. It's like,
fix it in post.
I feel like people get, and that's the thing too. Get whatever shots you can, but I feel like some people focus on getting the perfect shot so hard that they ignore the moment. You know what I mean? Of finding that animal and just enjoying it in its natural habitat. You get so worked up over getting the perfect photo that you miss the moment. You know what I mean? Like,
see, that's why I didn't take my camera to Texas, because I was like, I have my phone.
Yeah.
If we see something really interesting, or something that like I got to get a picture of it, then I'll just snap it with my phone. It's like, I don't want to lug my camera around the freaking desert for a week straight. It's like, I want to be present. I want to enjoy it. Same like when I go to concerts, I don't usually like maybe I'll snap a
video,
picture, but it's like, I'm there to be there.
Right.
I'm not there to record it for everyone else just to say I was there. It's like, a picture, maybe a short video or something, but I'm not going to watch the concert through my phone.
Right.
That
Yeah.
Same thing. That's a similar way, sort of.
And for me, it's like when I get really excited, like really, really excited, I forget about my phone and pictures because I'm so excited. Like I don't know, in 2019, I had messed with a few mud snakes in, I'd say in the wild. Somebody else found them. I was able to interact with it, whatever. I never like herped one and came across one. And in 2019, I came across this mud snake that was pushing like 6 foot, and it was my lifer. And I was so excited. Like, I have some pictures of it. I have one that was like edited to all hell because I forgot how to take a picture. Like, I didn't know settings, but I was so just enamored with this thing. Like, I took some shots and I was just playing with it, man. Just like, I was so enamored with this animal. I didn't really care that much. Like, looking back, I'm like, man, I really wish I would have just taken a breath, took a couple shots while I was laying there. Because the first thing I did was drop everything I had and put my hands on my head, like, oh my God, and I immediately picked it up, and was like, I can't believe this, and then I realized, like, oh man, I should have taken some pictures first.
It's like, it's a vacation, it's like, I want to remember it up here.
Yeah. But the other thing is safety, right? So like, a lot of times I'm out there by myself, and I'm out in the middle of the desert, a couple of feet from a rattlesnake. It's like, I kind of got to step back and be like, okay, what am I doing here?
I don't need to move this to get the perfect shot or anything.
Right.
I'll take what I can get and we move on our way.
Exactly. Yeah.
We were supposed to, when we were living in Virginia, my dad and I, we got invited to go with some people that were radio tracking cane breaks up there. I guess Timbers. It's coastal Virginia, so I don't know. But we were going to go. And then like the following week, they had a photographer that was with them, and he was taking pictures of one through the viewfinder and got too close and got nailed. And so then they're like,
wow,
sorry, can't come anymore. So I was like, well, shit.
Wow, dude. Yeah.
It'll get you.
And that's, I'm not gonna say it's funny. Like, it's one of those things. Like, I meant like, it's funny how that works, because when you're looking through that lens, man, I can't tell you how many times I've been zoomed in on something and getting closer and closer. All of a sudden, I come out of the camera. I'm like, oh, I am a lot closer
you
than I
lose,
realized.
you
Like,
lose touch with reality, and I mean, it's it's.
yeah, I totally understand how that could happen. You know, normally when it comes to rattlesnakes, I'm much more like aware when I'm photographing a venomous snake. You know, it's always I take a burst, you know, kind of look at it, take a burst, look at it, you know, make sure I'm taking my distance. I normally I try to take pictures of venomous snakes with a 300 millimeter.
You know, you put your hand over to keep it from moving.
In. Yeah, grab it behind the head real quick, and I just pin it down real good.
Sit still.
I actually milk every venomous snake before I photograph it.
Just in case.
Just to be on the safe side. Bare hands, no tools. You know what I mean? Find a stick somewhere.
Whatever you gotta do, man. You gotta keep it.
Gotta get the shot.
Gotta get the shot. Yeah.
Get the shot
Good for the gram.
Yeah, exactly.
So, are you using mirrorless? Have you gone mirrorless?
No. I upgraded. I guess it was last year too. I'm pretty old school, I guess. I had an FX, so I shoot Nikon, so I had an FX, which is the crop sensor camera for a while, which I upgraded last year to the full frame sensor. I was going to go mirrorless, and then I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to have to get new lenses and all this other stuff. So I didn't make that jump yet. I just went to the full frame last year, which I've been happy with. But yeah, this thing about photography, you can it's just like snakes, right? You can go pretty deep in on the
it's a money pit. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I need to. So I upgraded to the Lumix, which is mirrorless. It's the G100.
Oh, nice.
And I have the stock lens on that, and I want to get more lenses, but I don't want to get the wrong lenses. Man. I mean, some of the ones I'm looking at are like sub $200, so it's not horrible.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I just I like to do a lot more like sort of macro stuff, and so I'm still trying to figure out exactly which one I should go with and stuff like that. And of course, there's pros and cons to every one of them.
See, you really need to weigh out, like, you know, this isn't for you, obviously. Yeah. This is just for like in general, like if you're thinking about a camera, you really need to kind of think about what you want to do. So like, you know, in your case, Brandon, you know, being a herp photographer, you know, but I think a full frame DSLR is the way to go because full frames do better in low light. They're a lot faster. You know, there's some mirrorless cameras that are on the fast side, but normally your DSLRs on average are faster for the most part. And so it's like those, you know, faster cameras are great for wildlife photography, period. You know, if you're a birder, you want a fast camera, you know.
That was the big selling point, and that's been the big thing that since I've got that camera is the low light focus is incredible compared to my old camera, especially shooting like at night, you know, doing like you know, road cruising or you know, stuff at night. That's been night and day. Yeah, the low light focus is definitely key for herp photography for you know, out in the wild.
And the mirrorless is great for low light, but it doesn't have some of the speed that you want.
That Lumix struggles in low light. I will tell you that.
Yes, I thought mirrorless were normally better in low light.
Well, most of them do. I'm sure the Sonys do, but this Lumix, it definitely it has a hard time with low light. And the autofocus, that was kind of like the biggest drawback with that model in particular, because it was like it's usually pretty good about staying on track, but it also gets focused on things it's not supposed to.
I see. So
I mostly got the Lumix for video stuff though.
Right.
Photography was a bonus because I had a Nikon originally too. Just a D, I think it was a 3500, 3100. And I mean, I had that for like 10 years. And so I finally upgraded last year, and I like the Lumix. I want to get more lenses and I'd play with it more, but yeah, I mean, I got that mostly just for video for the stuff that we were, you know, we want to do. So
yeah, so just weigh your options. A lot of good DSLR cameras, and that's the thing. Like, you don't have to have an expensive camera.
It doesn't have to be the latest and greatest.
No, you can take your average Nikon 3500s are great, man. You know, they're great cameras. Your lens will make way more of a difference than the body of your camera will.
Yeah, and the real kick in the nuts is that like iPhones these days can take like pictures, you know, like awesome photos. So yeah, it really depends on what you want to do. You know, if you want to take like macro photos and things like that, I think, you know, DSLR or, you know, some of the higher end stuff does a better job. But yeah, depending on what you want to do with photography, you know, an iPhone these days you can take really great pictures with, especially if it's just like, you know, documenting stuff. But
It's
you know,
only really great in like the perfect lighting. If you have the perfect
yeah.
lighting, you can take an amazing photo with an iPhone. But you will see the difference when it comes to different
Oh yeah, yeah,
lightings
yeah,
and
yeah.
like indoor photography with flash. Oh, I'm not telling you. I know you know this. I'm just saying, you know, for anybody listening, you know, your indoor stuff, you're really doing like indoor lighting and you want flashes and all that, man, you can't beat like an actual camera. I love being, even if you, because the way I used to, I don't have this set up anymore. But the way I love to shoot was, you know, so I never did anything fancy, but what I did is I had some external flashes and I would put one farther away and I would point it at the wall. And then I would get one a little closer and also point it at the wall.
Yeah.
And so it would point out the wall and it would bounce back and give that really soft lighting,
Yep.
but it's still bright. But it also gives like the dimensions with the shadows because one is farther away.
Yeah,
So it's not
absolutely.
as bright on one side, brighter on the other. You know, there's a lot of ways you can get funky with it, but bouncing light off stuff is always a really good way
Yeah,
to
no,
indoor
absolutely. That's a
photography.
great point, Jake. I think that's absolutely the way to go, whether it's, you know, you're taking pictures in your snake room or you're taking pictures of wild animals. If you can get it off camera flash, and you can get cheap ones, right? There's tons of
Yeah.
cheap Chinese knockoff stuff on Amazon, and this is probably terrible advice from a real photographer, but like for me, like if you're in the field, get the cheap. It's better
Yeah.
than nothing. Get a $30 off the camera thing, get a $10 diffuser. You can do some amazing things. You can start doing creative lighting. That's really what I, you know, like doing. But it doesn't even have to be creative, just lighting in general, though.
Yeah.
With a cheap lighting setup, that's the key to a lot of these things.
Mhm.
And you can do it on a budget. You
Yeah.
know, and the thing with cheap stuff, right? If you're out in the swamp and you have to drop it because there's a cottonmouth at your feet, whatever, right? It's not the big investment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whereas, you
that's
know,
exactly what I was about to say. You know, get something you don't mind dropping in the mud.
yeah,
You know, because things happen. You know, especially around here, we got some real soft mud, and before you know it, you'll be
yeah,
up to your shins. You
yeah,
know, and you'll fall right on over when you try to take a step. You know, if that
yeah,
camera goes
exactly.
down, I mean, you don't want to have a $1,200 lens on you. You know, like
Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
wants one, but you can get an off-brand one for about half the price. You know,
yeah, and like
so
lights, like yeah, exactly. Same concept with light. You can get a, you know, $200-300 Nikon speed light, which
yeah,
probably has a little bit better color profile, but you can get the $30 one that you can correct and post, and if you throw it in the mud, who cares?
yeah, exactly.
So it's all about, to me, you know, kind of your mission and what you're doing. You know, I get asked a lot about photography, and I'm kind of pragmatic when it comes to that stuff. It's really about your goals, you know, what you're trying to accomplish. If you're out just, you know, field herping, I say get the cheapest stuff that can do what you want.
Yep.
Do you keep, so when you are out and you're doing photography stuff, I mean, are you taking multiple lenses with you, or you just got your sort of your go-to that
Yeah,
you
I carry a couple lenses with me. I carry a macro lens. I have a 100 millimeter macro lens. I carry a kind of general purpose lens, which I need to upgrade. I still have my crop sensor frame, which is like a 18-200. I usually leave that on, like if I'm just going out for a hike or something, because if
Mm-hmm.
something's further away, I can zoom in on it a little bit. Uh, and then I do have a wide angle lens that I keep in my bag as well, just for some of those shots where you can kind of get the animal and either landscapes or an animal and that kind of the habitat in one shot. So I
Right.
have that Leoa 15 millimeter, which you see a lot of herp photographers using these days, which is like a
Very nice.
close focus wide angle macro lens.
Mhm.
I had a fisheye for that Nikon for a long time that
Yeah.
I didn't use very often, but that was a fun lens to play with. Like the
Did you
lighthouse,
sell that camera?
yeah,
Oh.
like the lighthouse on Hunting Island. Like I could literally have my feet touching the base of that, and the whole thing would be in frame. Like
Yeah, you
it
can do
was
some
neat.
cool stuff with it.
What?
It was
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, it was
Gee
wild because
whiz.
that's a tall lighthouse.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a small one.
And you're like pointing at it?
Yeah, like standing at the base of it.
And you're pointing the camera directly at it.
Yeah,
Jeez.
it was cool. I mean, it's
insane.
not the most practical of lenses, but it was like I did some
cool
fun
to
stuff
play
with
with,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, you can do some cool stuff with lenses like that, and it's like the one I have is light enough where it doesn't really add a lot of weight to my pack. So if it's there, if something comes up where I can use it, great. If not, not a big deal.
Yeah. I need to find, like I said, I need to hunt down one for the, because I'd like to get something that does macro stuff, not only photography but also can do some cool like B-roll for some videos and stuff. And like I'd really like to get some pictures of the rhino rats because they're really good about just sitting still and hanging out and letting you take as many pictures as you want.
Yeah.
And they're so photogenic, and along with the chondros too. So
yeah, it's like chondros. I get it's really hard for me, and this, I don't know, it just sounds elitist or stupid or whatever, but like it's hard for me to take pictures of chondros because it's just so hard for me to get like inspired.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy, and they don't do anything. Yeah, I don't know.
Are you a good photographer, or do you just keep chondros?
Yeah, exactly.
Both.
No, I mean, yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because they're beautiful animals, right? But after you've taken so many photos, it's like, okay, what else?
And they're all of the same pose of it, just
right,
coiled up on a stick. And it's like,
yeah. So I can take 100 of the same photo, and it's awesome because it's an awesome snake, but it's the same photo.
And then you turn on the lights, and then they tuck their head in, and you're like, wait, come back out.
Yeah,
I needed that, yeah. I'll take some of mine outside to take, reels and stuff for Instagram. And as soon as I take them outside, they're like, son. My eyes.
Dude, I love talking about eyes. I love, this is completely random, but I love looking at like snake eyes, like when they're outside in the sun, because their pupils kind of, change a little bit. Yeah. And they just dilate, and it's, I don't know, it's so cool just to see them. And the colubrids are very like, dude, when they're out in the sun, they're like, woo, what's going on?
I feel the UV radiating through my body.
Yeah, I'm out.
I would love to do that with the Jansen eye, but it's not happening.
Dude, I get so much natural sunlight in my new snake room, man. When the sun's going down, like it's literally
killing me.
It's literally like a perfect beam that comes right through my
room.
And I'm like, oh, dude, this is great.
I'm working with a damn broom closet.
I mean, my room's not that much bigger.
No, but you're saying like the layout is nice.
Yeah, it does work. It does work very well. Dude, you still need to come over, man.
I'm going to.
No, you're not. You don't love me anymore.
I got a 3-day weekend now, bro.
You trying to come over this weekend?
Yeah.
Cool. Hopefully, I can get this freaking light.
Bring some
tomorrow.
thorn scrubs with me.
You ain't bringing no damn thorn scrubs. I ain't got nowhere to put thorn scrubs. I had to scramble to get a tub ready for these.
Put them in with spurge.
So what are thorn scrubs? Are they considered prairie?
They're
Great Plains.
It's Emery subspecies.
Emery, yeah, they're mealworm.
Mealworm.
Yeah, no, they're really cool. They're neat.
Cool. He doesn't want mine.
I already have 3. I'm keeping everything. Like, dude, I swear I have a Noah's Ark thing going on. I have everything's in like 2s and 3s.
I like them. I just need the space. Chris sent them to me.
I just don't need that many of them, man. I like them, but I don't want that many.
They're dicks, and
mine aren't bad. I just don't mess with them much.
You guys are really selling them here.
Yeah,
no, they're great snakes. They're super
fantastic.
cool. You just have to you have to be an Emery person. Me, I'm much more of the southeastern guy. So I got Brewster County Emerys because I have Brewster County Gophers. So I was like, may as well get them, So I snagged those, but they're awesome. I absolutely love my Emerys. The thorns are from Nueces County, Texas. And they're really cool snakes. They're just one of those things. I'm just more of a southeastern guy. So that's where most of my focuses
Southeastern
are.
Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I actually lived in Nueces County. That's where I'm from, or not where I'm from, where I lived in Texas temporarily. So having stuff from that county is.
How's your finger?
Cool. Whoa.
You want to smell it?
The one, does it hurt when you talk about Nueces? Is it like
my thumb? Yeah, my thumb twitches a little bit.
Starts pointing west.
Yeah, exactly.
I got scoliosis in my thumb.
Yeah, no, it's still a little.
It gets a little sore when it rains. That's
Dude,
how I know it's gonna rain.
It mostly gets sore like
the Aatrox thumb.
It hurts when I play guitar. Like when I play guitar for a long time, my thumb starts to really get sore, and then like
just like Johnny Depp when he lost his finger.
Yeah, pretty much just like that. And then like I don't play video games like at all, you know, but whenever
I guess you can't, right?
His career is ruined.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know I never played video games. Like when I was younger, I played PS2.
Dude, I was a Halo kid, man.
I never got into it, man. My brother played Call of Duty like a freaking madman, and
Master Chief raised
occasionally he'd be like, "Come on, man, you can play Call of Duty with me," and I'd be like, "All right, fine," you know. So I'd go play.
Sorry, my thumb is just not gonna happen.
I do my thumb. I don't know.
I hear Tylenol for my Aatrox thumb.
Yeah.
Gotta get in prime gaming condition.
Yeah, but no, like legit, like if I play a video game with it, it starts to hurt. You know?
Is that where it got you in the thumb?
Yeah, it bit me right on the left thumb.
We call that Aatrox Amber Heard.
Yeah.
They were like,
she got me.
"Why would you cut off your own thumb?" And he's like, "Why would I cut off my own thumb?" He's like, or my own finger. Like I've been playing guitar since I was like a kid. Why on earth would I cut off my own finger, knowing that it would affect my guitar playing?
It's silly.
So harsh,
yes,
man.
I cut off my own finger just to prove a point to my now ex-wife.
You gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Yeah, yeah, and I purposely got bit by that Aatrox.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like, this will get me out. This will buy me an extra long weekend from work.
This will get me
it's
cool.
It's like The Wire.
Cool points at college. All the girls will think I'm cool. Yeah,
it's like The Wire. It's about the horror, you know.
Yeah.
You're sending a message. Like you don't give a fuck.
I still think it's so funny, like because I was in college when that happened, and like when I showed back up in class, you know, I was in a sling. You know, my arm, I couldn't move my arm at all.
The girls were like, "Oh my god, are you okay?"
Well, we had just
got bit by a rattlesnake. I was saving a puppy.
It's fine, you know.
There was a puppy about to get bit, and I threw my hand in front of it so it would get me and not the dog.
Yeah, but we're sitting in class, and it was literally first class of the morning, and it was our first day back from spring break, and we had my favorite teacher. He's a really cool guy, or professor.
So what the fuck happened to you?
Everybody's going around, you know, telling their spring break stories or whatever, and I'm just kind of sitting back there, you know, with my sling, and a couple of my friends from college knew what happened. I think it was like 2 or 3 of them, and my professor Posey looks at me and goes, "Jacob, what happened to you? Did you do that catching snakes?" And everybody that knew just started like busting out laughing.
So you had like a rep, huh?
Oh yeah, people knew I was the snake guy. You know, that's what I was known for. You know, my wetlands class. Jacob. I had a wetlands class, and
they saw it coming.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and I told him I got bit by a rattlesnake, and then
you should have told him you broke your hand fighting a chupacabra or something.
With him, the rattlesnake gave me cooler points. So. He's real.
I saw a skinwalker and I punched it in the face.
I pushed her right in the face. It's crazy. Yeah, but no, that was interesting.
Still have it.
Yeah, I'm glad it's still there. I recommend
enjoyed my spring break from the ICU.
Yeah. No, yeah, most of my spring break was spent.
How
in the
about
ICU.
you?
I don't want to say most. I think I was there for 10 days when that happened. I spent like 4 days in the hospital.
How long was your spring break? Jesus.
I mean, it wasn't 10. No, because it was like it's a weekend, and then you have the 5 days off, and then another weekend.
It's 9 days.
Plus, it's Texas. They account for snake bites.
11 days.
Yeah,
that's 11 days.
Make sure everyone has that extra day.
Yeah.
So the Texas squirrel bites can.
Dude, that whole scenario was just terrible because I had to fly back to Texas and then drive to Georgetown from Charleston with one arm, and I got lost in the woods and. It was, dude, I don't know. My GPS took me through the middle of the stuff. I'm driving back from Charleston Airport to Georgetown, South Carolina. It's about an hour and a half
straight
drive.
Line.
It's not too bad. Yeah, it is. But for some reason, my GPS decided to take me through the middle of the Francis Marion National Forest.
So now I'm wounded. I'm lost.
Dude, I don't know what was going on, man. I was driving through here. I had one arm.
Were you on like pills and stuff too?
No, it was on the asphalt.
They didn't give you anything?
No, I had pain pills. No, but that's the thing. They gave me Tylenol T3.
Here you go.
Thanks, buddy.
This guy's a flight risk.
That's like okay, but you know.
Yeah, it didn't do anything. For me.
Doesn't really excuse your behavior.
Yeah, but so
now we know why they gave you that Tylenol.
I literally drove through the forest in the middle of the night with one arm. I was like, dude, deer's gonna run out. I'm gonna crash. I'm gonna blow a tire. Something's gonna happen. There's no way I'm gonna get out of this like scotch free. Like this is too perfect of a scenario for me to just get fucked.
I'm gonna get
a hell of a story though.
Yeah, no, it was interesting, but I made it out, made it back to Georgetown, and yeah.
Which there's nothing in Georgetown.
No. There's a paper mill.
What's Georgetown? What state are you talking about?
It's between Charleston and Myrtle.
It's here. It's in South Carolina. It's about 2.5 hours up the road. It's literally on the way into Myrtle Beach.
So you drove all the way from Corpus Christi, Texas to South Carolina with a rattlesnake wound?
No. So I got bit in Corpus, and then I flew back to Charleston.
Oh, you flew.
Charleston, okay. Yeah, and then from Charleston, I drove to Georgetown.
Okay, that's still pretty impressive. But
yeah, it was. Dude, get through. Don't go through security with a rattlesnake bite. Do not recommend it. They have to swab you, and does not go.
Swab? Yeah. Swab what part of you?
They had to wipe my hand. Like my hand felt like lava, and this dude had to
give you a high
aggressive. Yeah, pretty much. Had to aggressively wipe my hand, and he was like, can you lift your arm up? Because I had to lift my arms up to go through security. And I'm like,
basically, he was just fucking with you.
Dude, I'm sure of it, because I got my arm like a quarter of the way up. He's like, can you go up anymore? And I'm just like, dude, this is all I got, bro. Like, come on, man. And he's like, all right, I guess that's fine. I'm like, you guess? Like, it's gonna have to be fucko.
In his defense,
he came up.
If I saw you in a sling in an airport, I too would be suspicious.
I probably would have done much worse.
Yeah, no, but then he comes up. And he comes up and he's like, you have to swab your hand. I'm like, why? He's like, bomb residue. And I'm
just be glad it was your hand, all right?
Okay, yeah.
I mean, you should have just as easily said, yeah, I hurt myself.
Wait, so are you gonna pick up the bombs I was just handling? Is that what's about to happen?
How do you think I got this burn?
Ridiculous, dude. It sucked, but I made it. A nice lady gave me a cigarette when I got back to Charleston. So it was so funny, dude. I came back because back then I smoked cigarettes. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. But like I literally walked out after the longest day of my freaking life and I had no cigarettes. And I was like, excuse me, ma'am, you please have a cigarette? Like I was like almost in tears, dude. I'm like
with his crutch and his busted arm, he's like, can I have those?
Yeah, no, that's pretty much exactly how that happened.
Got a light.
I was almost in tears, dude. I was like, can I please?
Legend, bro.
Sweet mama nicotine.
She took it out. She saw me. She saw me in my sleep. She's like, do you need me to light it for you? I was like, yes, please. It was terrible, dude. It was terrible. Then proceeded to be the longest month of my life. But
I don't know. You had a pretty long year last year.
I had a pretty long 2 years, dude. Get out of here.
Yeah, you like fell off the map for a while there.
Yeah, I fell off the map for a year, and then I had a terrible.
I say this like I know you guys. I just say, it's weird with this podcast stuff. I feel like you know you guys,
Yeah.
The biggest takeaway is that girls are nothing but trouble.
Amen.
The wrong girls are nothing but trouble. Find yourself a good one.
Hold on to her forever.
Dude, it's bad because like I got these snakes from Chris today and I hadn't told Kayla and I was like, oh no, like snakes are coming today. I haven't told Kayla.
Yeah, it's a good.
And then, but I was like, wait, it doesn't matter.
Welcome to marriage.
Like it doesn't. No, but it didn't matter. Like I was like, I don't know why I haven't told her yet because I just forgot, And I was like, I felt like there was that part of me. I was like, oh, she's not mad. And I was like, why would she be mad? I told her she was like, yay, new snakes, and I was like, woo.
I'm a straight pro of sneaking stuff into the house.
I don't sneak anything, man. She knows. I don't hide anything. I tell her.
Yeah, that's key.
We're also not married.
Where'd that one come from? I'm like, oh, I've had that.
That's not new. But no, yeah, I told her I was getting new snakes today, and she's like, "Yay, new snakes!"
Cool. Well, that's like a good friend of mine told me if you find one that you like half that much, then stick with it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
She puts up with that kind of stuff, it's worth putting some effort in.
Yeah.
Or that's when you get a species that you know they like.
Yep.
Like Katie
Yeah,
loves
but
the rhino rats, so I can get all the rhino rats I want.
Yeah, well, you're lucky. That's kind of hard though.
Dude, oh, how about Kayla doesn't mind if I use my little side of the room as like a quarantine space either.
Yeah, see, that's a keeper.
It's a win-win, man. I'm telling you, man. I've got it
Yeah.
made.
I
I'm
didn't
like,
really
yes.
give mine much of a choice in that department.
Yeah,
like,
but
look,
even
this
yours are
is
in the
what
closet.
happens.
Even yours are in the closet.
Not
you
all
know?
the time.
No.
Sometimes I'll leave them on
Okay.
like my side of the bed. It's like, look, unless you want me to lose everything that's in the other room, which I hope you
Let
don't,
me do this.
I have to do this.
I don't know. That seems like gambling right there. You're still taking a chance. What if she says,
I will
She's
do
cool with
this.
she knows that if
Sleeps on
they're
couch.
What if she says, yeah, let's roll the dice?
she knows that if they're in the closet or they're in our room, like they're not going to be there forever.
Right.
Like they're going to be there for a little while to make sure everything's good to go, and then they'll get
Yeah.
moved. Like they won't be there permanently. You know.
Yeah, that's not bad. You have a little arrangement.
Yep.
Unspoken agreement.
Yep. But we are at the 2 hour and 10 minute
minutes.
mark. So, Brandon, where can people find you if they want to see what you're posting, message you, talk to you? Where can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, BAM Reptiles, BAM Reptiles. I think if you search my name, Brandon McWilliams, it brings up the same page. Same thing on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. So, yeah, I do have a website, bamreptiles.com. It's kind of up to date. So, yeah, that's where you can find me. I'm always up to talking snakes or any type of stuff. So, feel free to get in touch.
Awesome. Well, thanks, man. This has been a great episode.
Yeah, I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, this was
I was
fun.
very much looking forward to it.
Yes. So appreciate you coming on, man, and I'm sure you'll hear from us again sometime in the future.
Cool. Yeah, glad to be here. I had fun chatting with you guys.
We'll talk Baird's business.
Oh yeah, and we'll have to link up sometimes, man. I just followed you on Instagram, so we'll have to stay in touch. Talk rat snakes. I'll send you a picture of my 110 quart setups.
Sweet. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
This show was brought to you by Steve Snaketuary and his Venom Hot Sauce. Cottonmouth sauce is where it's at. Grab you some. Steve's Snaketuary.com.
Get you some.
And then BlackBoxCages.com. So we've talked about them plenty this episode. We can't talk about them enough. You need a rack.
Good things.
You need a cage. You need toe kicks for that rack. A dolly for that cage.
Anything.
You
need lights in those cages?
Sliders.
Nothing.
Front openers.
Swing doors.
Swings.
Swing doors, slide doors, whatever you want, man.
The smoothest racks you'll ever put your hands on.
Butter.
No more spilled water bowls.
I can't believe
Thank
it's
you,
not
Jesus.
BlackBox.
That needs to be a shirt. I'm gonna talk to Jen about that one. That's gotta happen.
Yeah,
that's a good one. I like
Look out for a video soon. As soon as I get this cage up and running, we're gonna do a video on all my equipment from them. I really wish my XR16 was filled up, but yeah.
Go to Dollar Tree, get some little rubber snakes and put them in there and be like, this is what it would look like.
This is what it would look like. Yeah. Did you like my thermostat strip behind the racks? That looks pretty slick, right?
I need to get another one of those for all this.
Yeah.
I like those big.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, when you mount them up too and you can put them somewhere, dude, oh my God, it makes my life so much cleaner. The problem
with mine is like there's that window there, so I don't really have.
Get the command strips.
Some of us don't have the luxury of having such an awesome room, Jake.
Well, I wish somebody would come see my awesome room.
On that note, we'll see everybody Monday night for Snakes and Stogies episode 122. Snakes and Stogies raffle is still going on. There's still some slots open. We're going to be drawing Monday. So get your spots while you still can. I think there's still maybe 2 left on the tumbler. There's a handful of spots left open on that red coastal from Eric. And then there's still a handful of slots for the Isopod and Bavaria little kit from Jeff and Kendra at Puget Sound Pythons. And then we're going to start planning our raffle for next month. And we're supposed to be doing some like hardcore trivia this week too, which I have to talk to Phil about because we have to. Now that I'm working, I don't have the ability during the day to get these things done.
Yeah, I was about to say you are
So
gonna
it's-
have a little bit of a change.
Like that was kind of the problem with the show Monday. It was like I didn't have anything ready, and I was like, I completely forgot about it because I've been so busy with the transition and learning stuff and still learning stuff. So it's an adjustment, but we're getting it figured out. So Monday's show will be a good one. If you're free and feel like coming and hanging out, feel free.
Okay.
So we will see everybody then.
I actually might pop on while I clean. I got to clean snakes Monday, but I might pop on and see what's up.
Keep forgetting it's Memorial Day.
Yeah. Oh, fuck, it is Memorial Day.
It'll happen.
Oh, I'm all actually then. Yeah, I can pop on. Taylor's working. I can clean during the day, so the night should be free.
We're still doing it at 9 because Phil can't do it any earlier. We tried
actually,
to, so
it's actually pretty late.
Deal breaker.
Maybe
Street lights are on. Jake's got to go to bed.
Yeah, my ass got to get up early.
All right.
Cool.
Everybody
Thanks
have a
again,
good
Brandon. Have a good evening.
Yeah, thanks. See you guys.